Touchdown, Warren! In the first touchdown of the 12-team playoff.
This is 365 Sports.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown, Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Ancio.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Klubnik's going to take off. Klubnik for the touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And here we go. 365 Sports on this Tuesday afternoon. Good afternoon, David Smoak with Paul Catalina. And also with Craig Smoak, we take you full throttle up until around 6 today. We will hear from Matt Rhule, Nebraska football coach, in this hour, and also Chris Fallica, who's now with Fox Sports, a longtime part of Game Day, and, of course, the Lee Corso goodbye, wishing him the best after this weekend up in Columbus, Ohio. And Chris is also extremely knowledgeable when it comes to college football games and more. So good afternoon on a day when Travis, Kelsey, and also Taylor Swift are married, and that's all we're going to say about it.
They're engaged.
Okay, they're getting engaged. Okay,
they're engaged.
And so there we are. Is that it?
I mean,
yeah.
Other Swifties like me are really happy for her and glad that she changed, her type from these artsy-fartsy dudes with, nothing to really give back to her that were more than just a mirror, as opposed to somebody like Travis Kelce, who's different and has different interests and helped her grow.
Wow, that was a really parasocial answer right there. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, congrats to them. But clearly Taylor Swift's a Big 12 fan. I saw Clark Williams of the Big 12 making the joke about how they're the league that has a alumni now engaged to Taylor Swift. So yeah, it's probably the biggest non-political story in the world, maybe even bigger than a lot of the other political stories as well. But yeah, good for them. I'm sure we won't hear about that at all after today. Won't have it brought up during Chiefs games ever. Won't get any press box shots 15 times a game. That's all. Oh no, that's all going to be worse than ever.
That's
all going to be worse than ever.
Yeah. All right. So there we are with that. We got that out. And hey, good afternoon. Those watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. If you have not subscribed to our channel, we appreciate that if you would. If you would, also hit the like button. And those watching on Twitter at 365 Sports YT. Colorado has their quarterback, Deion Sanders, announcing that Caden Salter, the transfer to start, also praising Georgia Tech coach Brent Key. Of course, they have a game coming up. And then also the fact that Salter, this is not a surprise, although Juju Lewis will be in the mix a little bit, hoping he's getting some snaps as well. But this is what we expected.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to go out there with a true freshman unless you have to. Michigan's their guy won. We talked about that yesterday. Caden Salter came here to be the bridge guy, or to Colorado to be the bridge guy before you get to Juju Lewis. And I'm interested to see how he competes, what that offense is going to be like post Shadur, post Travis Hunter, post Jimmy Horn Jr. A lot of guys. I mean, it's essentially a whole new offense this year.
Yeah, I don't think this is a surprise. I think when you went and got Caden Salter, who's a multi-year starter, that you were getting him to be the starter for this year and to not throw a true freshman into the fire. So I think this was exactly what you anticipated when they signed Caden Salter, was for him to be the starter. So, yeah, no shock at all as far as this goes. I know there were the various reports out there about how close the competition was, or maybe even at times almost indicating that perhaps Lewis could get the job. I think if he were to have gotten the job, then either he is some phenom of a freshman or Caden Salter's completely fallen on his face with as much football as that guy's played. So that would have been really the story, would have been had Lewis beat him out, because it would either have been for incredible reasons or like, oh God, what did we do here? Salter isn't what we thought. So this is exactly what you assumed would be the case, at least as far as week one goes. I'm very intrigued by Caden Salter. 2 years ago, they're playing Oregon in a major bowl game. He's having an incredible year. And then this past year, still put up pretty solid numbers, but a bit down in certain categories as Liberty wasn't quite as good of a team. So a bit of a drop, and I'm curious now that he's got some fresh scenery and a new program of what we see from Caden Salter. He's a talented player, obviously talented enough that he was at Tennessee originally before getting kicked off, and had a really prolific career out there in Virginia with the Flames. But yeah, this is a whole new deal. He's an exciting player when he's on his game. So I think there's a lot of potential here, and it's part of the reason why Colorado is one of those sleeper teams. I mean, there's the obvious handful of teams we talk about in the Big 12 that are pretty obvious contenders on paper. I think it takes a little while. It didn't last year, but this year it does, with no Shador and no Travis Hunter, to kind of get around to talking about Colorado. And you see the way they're actual fans or they're Dion fans, because there is a little bit of a difference. You see how both of those groups react, and they feel like they're being super disrespected right now, that they're going to be better than they were last year. I've seen that 100 times this offseason. So maybe they will be. Maybe there's less circus and better football, even though the football wasn't too bad last year. But yeah, I'm very intrigued by Salter and just how well he performs and what that means in regards to Lewis and Colorado's overall success.
Also, Auburn playing Friday in Waco against Baylor, and Jackson Arnold. Hugh Freeze has mentioned this over and over again about the fact that he might play three quarterbacks, but it appears it's now locked in on Hugh Freeze, of course, as the starter, and that would be something you'd expect. But Freeze saying that his decision-making in recent mock game was really good. Wants Arnold to hang in the pocket, notes his athletic ability, he can run, and is a real threat to do that too. That game Friday night, can't wait to see that at McClain Stadium.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what the difference is from one system to the next. I mean, obviously, Oklahoma has a new system this year, so they weren't thrilled with it, and that means they went out and got a new quarterback because Jackson Arnold left. And what is Hugh Freeze like? This is, I mean, obviously, I don't know if this is his last shot, but if you can't make it work now with Jackson Arnold, who's a former five-star player and was probably in the wrong spot for him and all that, then it's very telling for Auburn. So this is, it's a huge game for both these teams for so many different respects, but for Auburn in particular, to show that like Hugh Freeze and his system is working and taking effect.
I don't know if it's the last shot. I mean, we just saw Connor Wegman rejoin the SEC for the third time. I mean, so
I
you could always
for Hugh Freeze.
Oh, for Hugh Freeze. Okay. Yeah. For Jackson Arnold, I think it's too early to call him a last shot guy, but I do think some of the bloom may come off the rose as far as Jackson Arnold's outlook and whatnot, if you see him have more of a year similar to last year than what people anticipated when they rated him so highly. But yeah, for Hugh Freeze, I think there's an immense amount of pressure. The three quarterback thing did make a lot of sense to me and just sounded like a guy who was trying to motivate troops and throw a little smoke screen the way of opponents scouting, particularly Baylor in this first game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some other guys, but yeah, I assumed all along we're going to get mostly Jackson Arnold. And what a quarterback duel it should be between him and Robertson. I mean, Robertson's more highly thought of and certainly performed better at this point in time. So I think it'll be a great little showdown between those two Texas high school alums. And I think for Baylor, you can lose that game on Friday so long as you don't get embarrassed. And I don't think people will be happy about it, obviously, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I think if Auburn loses to Baylor, no matter how much they might have pumped up Baylor on local radio and whatnot, it's still to them not the same as losing to who they feel like they should be losing to, right? So that, for me, is not so much a must-win for Baylor, although I think they really need to win that game with all of the pomp and circumstance. It's one of those where you motivate the troops to get ready and come alive, and you can only do that so many times without following through on your end, right? So I think the people will be excited. If they don't end up with the win, it's all right. But Auburn, I feel like, they've got to win this game, or there's going to be people pulling their hair out very quickly in week 1.
I have followed various writers, analysts, all sorts of people who follow Auburn. And, there's a high expectation for them, too, and there should be. We'll have Cole Kublik on tomorrow from ESPN and the SEC Network, former Auburn player. He'll join us tomorrow at I don't know, somewhere around 4 o'clock. Arch Manning, Texas, going to Columbus to take out Ohio State. And I like how he flipped this around that, again, the Heisman favorite, number 1 ranked team, prepared for the season. All of us at Texas, we kind of try to shift the narrative, which the narrative is that UT is maybe the best team in college football. They surely have been a part of that the last couple of years, but we're going for everyone else. The target's not on our back. We have a red dot on everyone else. He told that to Anwar Richardson, and Arch Manning trying to say, hey, we also have people in our sights, and especially this game on the road in Columbus.
Well, then you're kind of in a Mexican standoff there with both things, because they're going to have a bullseye, but I like that mentality. I think sometimes a team can be like, we've got the bullseye on our back, everybody's coming for us. You have to maybe shift that mentally to make sure that you don't read your own clippings before anything's happened too. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that can happen here in this next couple of weeks that could change the season, completely for you. So I like that they look at it that way.
I think it's a great answer, and I like how he's had the part about the red dot on everyone else. I know it's the same program that for the longest time just showed up and said, we're Texas, and assumed that people would fall on their backs and let them pin them and just walk away with the win. And that clearly wasn't the case. But I think I don't think they've moved away from the we're Texas and the whatever you want to call it, the confidence that comes with that. But I don't think it's a bad approach to kind of shy away from it's about us and go the different direction of, we're hunting too. We're not just the hunted, because I think there's been a very long time where we've seen Texas kind of embrace being the villain, right? And like you're envious or you're jealous or you're this or you're that, and kind of embracing that villain role. But to actually go out and be on the hunt yourself, I like the way that he spun that around, and he's doing all the right things. We'll see on the field. What we have seen was pretty good when we saw it last year, but this is obviously a totally different ball game with just the full meal deal that we'll get from week 1 on. So I'm excited about the Arch Manning era or season or whatever it turns out to be, and very excited to see how he walks the walk along with all the talk that's been about him for the last couple of years.
Clemson's Dabo Swinney confirming that tight end Ian Shiflin will miss the game Saturday against LSU. Reckless driving charge a week ago. Will be back for week 2 when they play Troy, so he will not play in that showdown of the Tigers in the top 10 coming up this weekend.
Yeah, in other news, Georgia's put him on their transfer watch list for next season. I'm not sure how big this could be. He's a good player. I mean, Clemson has nothing but good players. But the bigger thing for them is, they're going to have new running backs this year. They're going to have some of that. But Cade Klubnik has, they went and got a wide receiver in the portal. They've got wide receivers that have been there now for a couple years. They might have some playmakers. So maybe you don't go to the tight end as much. And look, they lost a tight end last year that they really liked, went to the NFL. So there's going to be a lot of new, and maybe this is an advantage for LSU. Maybe it's not.
I don't think it's a huge advantage. This kid was playing basketball up until this year. Yeah. So he played for Clemson basketball and has finished his college career by trying to play football. So this isn't like some All-American returning that's going to make some huge difference in this game. I applaud Dabo for doing what a lot of other guys wouldn't do. Now, if he was a great player and already proven, then maybe Dabo would do what a lot of the others do and suspend him for week 2 against Troy as opposed to week 1 against LSU. We've certainly seen suspensions that are kind of timely here of late, and how you maneuver those. But go ahead and suspend him for doing something stupid. I think that's what you're supposed to do as a coach. And let's see what he's got whenever he gets back. But I think that's a good move by Dabo.
There's a lot of interesting games coming up this weekend. One of them is Thursday night. It is Nebraska and Cincinnati. And we're now joined by Cornhuskers head football coach and a friend of the show in Matt Rhule, who joins us from Lincoln on 365 Sports. Coach, thank you very much for joining the show. I know it's been a wild and crazy and busy offseason for you. Why is year 3 always such a big year for you? Brandon, what? Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. I thought he was in.
No,
That's
you're not.
there
He's calling my name, dude.
Hey, there we go.
My IT
Turn the
guy
mic
are
off.
arguing. He's telling me I'm not in the show. I'm like, Smoke's talking to me. I know what's going on. Like, I know that demanding voice.
Yeah.
He said 320. He said 320. He's gonna go at 315. That's how you look.
Oh my God. This is great. I love you, man.
What's up, brother?
How you doing? Craig Paul Smokey with Matt Rhule. That's great. Why is year 3 usually magical for you?
I think we, the jobs we've taken, the first, they all needed some help. I mean, Temple was moving up in conferences. Baylor, obviously, we were following up after, everything that had happened there, the scandal that happened there. And here, had one since 2016. So there's a reason why, those jobs were hard. And I think you had to rebuild the roster and infrastructure. So it took time to get that going. But I think also, you go through year 1, you struggle, 2-10 at Temple, 1-11 at Baylor. Here it was 5-7, but we lost our last 4 games. Then you get to year 2 and you get to 500 or so, maybe above 500 like we have the last 2 times. And guys begin to buy in a little bit more. And then, year 3, it's their program, So that year 3 at Baylor, I mean, you couldn't tell the James Lynch or Charlie Brewer or Terrell Bernard or, any of those guys. You couldn't tell them what to do. They knew what to do. And that's kind of where I hope we are right now. I think we're at a place where our guys know what to expect and they're demanding it.
Coach, first of all, my apologies for my co-host Craig and I. I know that you, of all people, we don't have to tell you. You look great, Coach. You look fantastic.
Yep.
Thanks.
So you go out this year. You get particularly the guy I want to talk about, Dane Key in the portal. It's someone I really enjoyed watching when he was at Kentucky. When you have a quarterback like Dylan Raiola, how does that make it a little easier to tell wide receivers like, hey, you need to come here and catch passes from this dude?
Yeah, I think the players know the player that Dylan is. He can make every throw. The ball's going to go to the right place. He's not afraid to take chances. He's going to be a guy they love playing with. And so if you're in the business of catching footballs, I'd come play with Dylan too. And then you pair with that the fact that you have Daniel Holgerson, calling the plays, and he's going to be aggressive. He's not afraid to throw the rock around. So I just think guys like Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter coming in from Cal, I think they recognize like, man, I've got a gold mine right here in terms of a quarterback and a play caller who are as aggressive as they are, and obviously we're glad to have them.
Coach, I want to start off by not asking you a question, but saying thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping make a dream come true last season and getting Smokey out to a Nebraska game to watch Illinois. And I know it wasn't the result you wanted or the fans wanted, but it was an incredible experience. It was a bucket list type of thing for myself and my family. So I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for helping make that happen. And we will always be grateful for that. But also talking football here, I mean, just how comfortable are you feeling? As he said, you look good, everything kind of shaping up for a year 3. Just what's it feel like around Huskerland when football season's about to start?
Well, I mean, I think we have a good team. It's not like you're sitting there saying, oh, I feel good because it's year 3. I think you say, here we are, we're in year 3, and I think we have a good team. And, we like our guys. We like the way that they've worked. We liked the winter. We liked the offseason. We liked the spring. We liked the summer. So I think we're cautiously optimistic. We know how hard this is. Like this Big Ten thing. I mean, we fly to the East Coast twice and then come back and play on a Friday night. Like you would never do that in the NFL, but we have to do it. We have to play in LA. We have to play in Maryland. We have to play all over the country. We have to play in different types of weather. So we understand how hard it is. We're not making a bunch of predictions, but we like our team and we feel really good about our team. And so it's been a good camp. So I think everyone's kind of walking around with a little bounce in the step, like, hey, here we go. I mean, it's but it's funny. If you'll remember year 3 at Baylor, at the end of year 2, I mean, there were like reporters outside my office because everyone said I'd taken the Jets job. And I mean, I'll never forget like driving down the street, and, like a reporter like driving along with me, like filming. I was like, no, I'm still here. And I'll never forget telling my agent, I was like, I'm coming back here. I said, we're going to win 11, 12 games next year. And he was like, you feel that way? I said, look at the schedule, look at the way it plays out, look at the guys that we have. It's always sad to me, that Charlie had to transfer. I mean, you talk about a program that was dead, and what Charlie Brewer did at Baylor. I don't think people recognize what he did. I mean, 4 times that year we had the ball. We had the ball on our 1 yard line on 2nd and 17 against Texas Tech, and that kid took the ball down the field, and Denzel dropped a touchdown. I had to go to overtime, or else the game would have been over. I mean, what Charlie Ward did at Baylor was he saved, in my opinion, he saved the future of the program. And so, but yeah, I mean, I think we feel the same way about Dylan. We feel like we have a guy at quarterback who can win games at the end. 4 times that 11-win year. Either one on a game-winning kick or went to overtime, I think. So we know it'll be hard, but we feel pretty good about where we are.
Are you one of those that sees a challenge and you see the positive rather than the negative?
Yeah, I tell our teams our coaches all the time, and our players all the time. I believe that when something comes at you in life, you either look at it as a threat or a challenge. And if you see it as a threat, then you shrink down and you are a victim. If you see it as a challenge, then you rise up and you're a competitor. And so, and I think that's kind of the way I'm wired. Like I like feeling like, hey, we're the people. It's not me, it's our staff. We went to Baylor over Oregon the year that we came to Baylor. We came here over some other jobs and or waiting a year. And so we wanted to be the type of people. We want to be the type of coaches that go to places that people say are, hey, that's not going to work there anymore. We went to Baylor. They said it was dead. It was over. I mean, you guys remember. I mean, I remember sitting there the Friday before signing day and Stephen A. Smith saying that they should disband the program and answer recruiting calls. I remember coming here and people saying you can't recruit in Nebraska. You can't get good players in Nebraska. Well, guess what? You can. And so I think we like the challenge of it. We like the feeling of it. We like feeling like, hey, you know what? We left the place better than we found it. I can't wait for Friday. I want to play Thursday. I can't wait for Friday. I can't wait to watch the boys, the Bears play. What Dave's done has been awesome. And but we feel a small part of like, hey, that thing could have gone south really quickly had we not shown up there.
It's roster building continues to be different. You have the house settlement now that's changing things. How clear do you feel on what the tools you're going to have to build a roster in the next year or so are as a coach? Because at Big 12 Media Days, we got it. The idea is like, look, I'm just kind of playing it by ear month to month here. When they tell me like, you can go do this or you can't do this, or this is the money where it comes from. It's all been very confusing for coaches. And it doesn't seem like the powers that be ask you guys how it would work better for you.
Well, they certainly didn't ask us, and I think that's kind of how it works. This is a legal situation, right? This is like this has gone in front of Congress. Like this is so big that to think that it's going to be for us. I mean, typically something like this would have been rolled out over the course of a year, where as you implemented it, you had a plan. One of the unique things that happened was it was so delayed that some schools, used a bunch of extra NIL money and they bought up their roster for next year, so they're going to have an advantage for years to come. I think some of the schools that did that are, down there where you guys are. So, it's unfortunate that it happened because you were hoping that the revenue sharing and house settlement would even the playing field. But I think in the long run, it will. I think in the long run, it will for schools who have the financial capabilities to match the revenue sharing number as it moves forward. I mean, it's 20.5 this year. It's going to go up 4% this year. But over the course of the next 10 to 20 years, that number is going to jump like crazy. And I know a lot of people had to go out and fundraise to get their 20.5. One of the reasons why I came to Nebraska was I knew with the fan base, I knew with the state, I knew with the facilities, I knew with the new building we were being built, the selling out of games, that, we don't take a penny from campus. We don't take a penny from our students. And so we don't take a penny from the state government for football, for sports. And so we will be physically viable for, the next decades because of the situation that we have here. But if you're not in that type of situation, it's going to be really hard. And to your point, I don't know Paul, I don't know like all the things that we can do. I mean, there's people doing things that just seem unbelievably like you shouldn't be allowed to do that, but they're doing it right now. So we're just going to have to figure it out as we go. And I think the biggest thing I've had to learn is like, just what can I do here? Like, don't worry about what everyone else is doing. What can I do here and build the best roster I can build, and stop being a victim. Don't be a victim about it. Take this as a challenge. Don't sit there and be like, oh, it's not fair. We can't bring this guy. I can't hold this guy. Like last year at Portal, like I lost my D coordinator, my D line coach on Sunday after the Iowa game. I lost a bunch of players on Monday. And you know what we did? We went out, we hired other coaches, and we went out and got other players, and we got guys like Dane Key, and we weren't victims. We attacked it like a challenge, and it was actually a lot of fun. So I think we're in a really good spot here.
I would, by the way, I would say I'm sorry about that, but they both went to my alma mater, so thank you for helping improve that. I
Yay,
can't,
Paul.
so worked out for me. I'm sorry.
Hey, just block him out the rest of the interview.
Coach, I saw that you were starting up a podcast that's out now, and I thought that was very cool. And I was kind of surprised, like, wow, just made me realize that not a lot of coaches have done that sort of thing. Now, we know whether it's facilities or uniform styles or whatever, people kind of copycat things. So do you anticipate we'll see more coaches following your lead as far as the podcasting goes? And as like a B part to that question, if you could listen to a coach – past or present, host a podcast, and just be able to dig in like people will be able to listen to you, who would be somebody that jumps out to you that you would have loved to have heard something like that from?
I think you'll see some people do it. I think it's quite antithetical to the way most coaches think, though, right? Like you kind of go into the bubble during the season and you're like, I don't want to talk to anybody. One of the things that I always bring up to like our sports information people and to our social media people, and they're amazing, is, when I first went to Waco, people didn't really want us there. My wife remembers that. Like people didn't really want us in town. They didn't want us at Baylor. Like everyone obviously loved Coach Briles, and it was really hard at first. And then that first year we didn't have a lot of success. But what happened was on every Monday or Tuesday, Smoak would come in and he would ask me all the hard questions that everyone was saying. Like no one would ask me that in a press conference. So now you go into a press conference and everyone on their mind, they're like, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And you're answering, press conference questions. And so what Smoak would do is he'd come in and he would ask me all the stuff that the fans were saying, all the stuff on the message board, all the stuff on social media. And what it did was because I was being challenged with it, it wasn't like I was making excuses. It wasn't like I was like, well, guys, we did lose 45 players. When Smoak would say something, I'd say, well, wait a minute now, Dave, like, blah, blah, blah. And I could at least state our case and at least provide hope. And it gave us a chance to get our narrative out because we were the ones in the fire. Like we knew what was happening and we also knew how it would end. And I think it ended pretty well. And so I'm always saying to people, like, I need someone like Smoak in my life who like gives me an opportunity to take on all the negative stuff and not defend it, but like explain where we are and why. And so we have great media coverage here, but now with this new world of podcasting, I can go on there and I can say what I think needs to be said about our program. I can say what needs to be said, I think, about college football. As I said on the show, this is my fourth head coaching job. Like they've tried to kill me already. Like I'm good either way. Like I'll move down to when my time's done, I'll live here in Waverly, and I'll move down in the winters to somewhere down in South Texas and live a good life. Like I'm only doing this because I love coaching. I love the kids I coach, and I really love being at the University of Nebraska. So the podcast gives me a chance to talk about all the great things about Nebraska. It gives me a chance to answer questions that I think are fair questions that should be answered. And I think it gives us a chance to let's make sure that this is a national brand. Like it's been a national brand, but when I go out recruiting in California and in Florida, I want them being like, oh, that's Coach Rhule. Yeah, he's on this, he's on that. Oh, you guys have so-and-so. Like every episode I do a player and tell their unique story. So our players love that. So should coaches maybe do that? Probably. Are they willing to say all those things, or are they just going to give you a lot of like coach talk? That's, I think, the biggest difference. Like I will not do this and give coach talk. I'm going to say, if we go undefeated, I'm going to do that show every week. If we don't win a game, I'm going to do that show every week. When I commit to something, I commit to it. And that's why I think it has a chance to be successful is because of the commitment we've made to doing it the right way.
Go ahead, Craig.
No, that's a great answer. It makes a lot of sense. Who would make a great podcast host to that second part of my question? Pastor, who jumps out to mind that you would have enjoyed?
Wait, Coach, I would love to have Bobby Bowden. I would love to listen to Coach Bowden just talk. I mean, just think about all his unique sayings and all the things that he would have said, back in the day. Like I always love maybe Spurrier. I went on a Disney cruise this year took my family like last year. So before my second year, and we were in Barcelona. Okay. And we get off and we're like thinking like, no one's going to see us. Right? Man, I see Coach Spurrier is the first guy I see. I see his wife, Jerry, like awesome people. I could listen to Coach Spurrier talk for hours. So I think like those coaches, those outspoken guys in that era, they would have loved the ability to grab a mic and say exactly what they think they want to say.
Coach Bowden's coaches show was great. I'll tell you that it was very unique and different. And he wasn't like you. He wasn't capable of coach speak. It wasn't. I mean, he had it but he wasn't his thing. Like it took too much thought to like go to that point when he could just answer the question. Right. And also, we'll consider interesting trades for Smokey if you want him. Like, seriously,
I could be the broadcaster to be named later. You mentioned you'll do it no matter what your record is, even if it was. Remember when I walked into your office after like 0-4-5 or 0-6 and whatever your record was, and you go, Smoke, we're going to do one of these on a Monday after we win a game, and I think you beat Kansas, like the very next week after like 0-8. You said that to me.
Oh, yeah. I've never felt more pressure in my life than I felt that Kansas game. It was like, man, we can't lose this one. It was just, that was one of those years that, like, you look back on it and it's like you remember all these, like, great lessons and all. But when you go through it, that's absolutely miserable. But no, to your point, like, I mean, anybody can answer questions. Anybody can stand here and talk when things are going well. I think the thing when you look at, like, the stops I've had in my career is it wasn't like I became a better coach in year 3 at Baylor. It was the situation was screwed up. So all the people had something negative to say in year 1, then, like they didn't get it. Like, no, we were taking the hose and just trying to stop the fire in year 1. Year 2, you're sorting through and just trying to figure out what can be kept. And in year 3, you're rebuilding it. And then, then I left, and then, year 4 was COVID. Then year 5, all those same kids from year 3 went out and won the Big 12. And it was like, hey guys, do you think this process worked? Like, do you think it worked? Like, you look at like Jalen Petrie dominating the NFL. Do you think our way of doing things worked? And so, but you couldn't really say that. And so I guess my point being now like you have a podcast. Now you have social media. We have an elite social media team here. Like I'll even do like once a day. I'll just walk and talk to the camera. Tell people what I'm thinking. And like, I hope more coaches do. I've had some really cool coaches text me like, hey, Matt, what you guys are doing is brilliant. It shows off your facilities. It shows off. But as much as anything, I'm just trying to show off our players and trying to show off the great personalities that they have. And I certainly don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about the guys I'm coaching.
What's it going to be like in Lincoln when you win? But you were so close to beating Ohio State last year, who goes on to win the national title. If you can get one of those games, you beat Colorado in a big game, a huge national type broadcast, and you look good doing it. What's it going to mean? Is that what you need with the program, is to have one of those moments?
I'd say yes and I'd say no. And here's why I say that. First of all, last year's game against Colorado was the single greatest environment I've ever been in my life. I mean, because as you know, Smoke, like just the feeling about Colorado and Colorado's feeling towards Nebraska, right? And then knowing it's the last game in a while. And then we go out there and we get embarrassed. And then, a lot of things are said after the game. And we get to the next year. It was just such a unique game. Then later in the year, we beat Wisconsin for the first time in 12 years to go to a bowl game. And it was like euphoria in the stadium. So when you think about this amazing fan base that I'm blessed to be a part of, to represent in some way, you want to keep giving them those moments. You want to keep giving them that. But with all that being said, I think the key is that we came in and at first we said, hey, let's beat the people we're supposed to beat. Now we want to beat everyone, but I'm saying as you're trying to build it, right? So like gone are the days of losing to Troy and losing to Georgia Southern. Let's not lose to any more non-power 4 teams. Let's not play FCS teams to like a 7-point game. Now, I mean, our last year at Baylor, like we barely beat Rice. So there's going to be things that happen, but that was kind of the first step in getting to where we win the games we're supposed to win. then last year we flirted with, winning those other games, right? Like to what your point, going and getting the big win versus the ranked team. And I think that would be a major step. But at the same time, we also were, favorites against UCLA, and we weren't ready for the moment. And so for me, it's beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and then climb the Big Ten. Where like, hey, there's this big 3 or 4 right here that go to the college football playoff each year. Like, let's beat everybody else, and let's get to that 8-9 win mark. And then you play 2 or 3 of those guys. Let's go pick them off. Like our first year at Baylor, we didn't even cross the 50, I don't think, against Texas. I mean, it was an absolute beatdown. And then there you are, 2 years later, 3 years, whatever that is, in year 3, and they're having a score with under a minute left in garbage time to at least get on the board, get a touchdown. And it's like, hey, we didn't try to catch Texas. We didn't try to catch Oklahoma. We tried to catch everyone else. I would be in there. I'd say, hey guys, like we have to be third in everything. We have to beat TCU and Oklahoma State and everything. Well, Oklahoma State beat us 59-16 the first year. We beat them the second year, beat them the third year. We beat them convincingly the third year. And so that plan worked. And we got to the point where it was like, okay, now we have to catch, we're at the top, we're in the upper echelon. Let's catch Texas. Let's catch Oklahoma. We caught Texas that year. Oklahoma, unfortunately, we had the lead. They came back and beat us. Then we got to the overtime. They beat us in overtime. And then 2 years later, they beat Oklahoma. And so I think that's a great thing for our guys is like, man, win the games you're supposed to win. And then go beat the teams that you're favored in. And then, you get to the college football playoff teams. Like, all right, now we can go out there and play free because we know we have the record we're supposed to have. And you know what? I think we learned a lot last year at Ohio State's a great football team, but we deserve to be on the field just as much as they did.
What is the balance when you come into a place of you have your staff that understands you and you've worked with a lot, and guys come and go in the coaching profession, but then, challenging yourself to hire Dana Holgerson or, someone that you weren't as familiar with before to give you that new perspective and change things up?
I think there's a time and place for everything. Mm-hmm. And you react to that time and place. But I will say this, like, we wouldn't have been able to make the progress we've made. Like, this place was in trouble, I think. Mm-hmm. And so when we got to Baylor, they were in trouble. The program was in trouble. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not saying anything bad about anyone. Just the trajectory of where things wasn't good. And we wouldn't have been able to do what we did at Baylor if it wasn't for Jeremy Scott, our strength coach, if it wasn't for all the coaches that came with me that knew how we did things. Because I would have spent the first year training the staff instead of the whole staff training the players. Now, as we move forward, then you're like, okay, we kind of have things in place. How can we improve? How can we be better? You come here, like, I'm not taking this job if it's not for Marcus Satterfield. He single-handedly convinced me to take this job. I needed Ed Foley to explain to everybody the process and the way that we do things. And, I needed Evan Cooper and I needed, Terrence Knight and all those guys because they were the ground one guys. And so they allowed us to make a lot of progress very quickly because they understood what we needed. Now, as we move forward, guys change role stats. He's not calling the plays anymore. He's coaching the tight ends. He recruited one of the best tight ends in the country to come in this next class. And he's done a great job with the guys that we have. So role people change. You have a chance to bring in Dana. Well, now the whole program's set. Like everyone knows what to expect. The process is in place. Dana comes in and all he does is he takes our process and he adds his unique gifts. And I think puts it on overdrive. So I just think there's a time and place for everybody. And I love having Dana here. I love having Mike Eckler here, John Butler, getting Phil Snow back. I mean, I couldn't be more grateful. But I just think that sometimes as coaches, like I talked about year one, sometimes coaches are doing their best work in years where you don't have a very good record. And that wasn't their fault. Like they took a job that wasn't very good. And I think you have to give them a little bit of time and grace. And then you see where they are year 3, year 4. And I think, you look at Coach Aranda, like I have a lot of respect for him. Like wasn't but a year ago that people were like, oh, is this going to work?
Yep.
He's got them up and running now. So they're doing a great job.
Matt, last thing, and I know you're busy. Cincinnati Thursday night. We had Coach Satterfield on at Big 12 Media Days. He really likes his football team and kind of has that little glimpse in his eye, whatever you want, a glimmer in his eye. Is your team more mentally or physically better this year?
We're better in every way possible. Yeah, I mean, it's a far cry from where we were. We're bigger, faster, stronger. It's taken a couple years with some of the guys. They got here, they were young. We're the youngest team in the Big Ten, Smoke. We still have 91 freshmen and sophomores. So this isn't like some hey, the team you see Thursday night, like we put them all together for one last run, and we'll see if we can do something special. And after that, it doesn't get any better. It gets better and better and better every year here. Like this is just the beginning. With that being said, I love where they are from last year. I mean, this would be a great football game. I mean, Cincinnati. I mean, Coach Satterfield's fantastic. They're gonna play that 3-2 Iowa State defense, which is what we ran at Baylor, and that's so difficult to go against. You have a young quarterback in Dillon who has to manage that, which is really hard. You have to run the football versus a great nose in Corleone. I mean, this is going to be a great game, but it's what we need. You can't sit there and say like, hey guys, we want to go to the college football playoff and we want to win the Big Ten. All these things that every team says, and then not go win games. You got to win them. And so playing a good game early, I think has been exactly what we need. But our brains are significantly better. But Smoak, I know you follow Nebraska, so I'm like, we went to that bowl game last year, and as we were winning the bowl game, Dr. Susan Elza, right, director of the UIL, she's amazing. She's sitting there on the sidelines with Ty Robinson, who's playing for the Eagles, and Nash Hutmacher, who's playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they were like, this has been so much fun this week in New York City, which seems weird for a bunch of guys from the Midwest, but this has been so much fun because everybody here wants to be here. We got the coaches that wanted to leave. We love them. They went somewhere else. The players that wanted to transfer and go to other places, they went somewhere else. And all the guys we had were guys that want to be here. And as I walk around this building now, it's not Matt Rhule's football program anymore. It's Dylan Raiola's, it's Dane Key's, it's Marquise Buford's, it's their program. And I'm just kind of like along for the ride, quietly guiding it in ways I think I need to. So our mental is so much better, but physically we're a lot better too. We're a really good team, and we're going to face another really good team Thursday night, and it'll be a lot of fun. It's non-conference game, so you try to learn the first 3 weeks, and then you get to Big Ten play, and the Big Ten's a beast. We got to perform in the Big Ten.
Thank you, man. And I'll validate what Craig said, reiterate, thank you very much for that memory last year. I know the game didn't end up the way, but just the overall thing, the trip and the memories of being there. I've seen Nebraska play all over the country, but that was special. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck this weekend Thursday against Cincinnati.
I'll say one compliment that I can't say to many people. I miss you guys. You guys are fun. And what? I still sometimes when I have time, I watch the show because I think you guys do a great job. I think you're fair. And, I'm grateful to you guys because, as I said, you look back at our time there and we loved our time there. But it was hard early. And you guys, because you guys covered us so cleanly and so purely and fairly, but hard, which is what you need. I think that made a lot of things happen. So I'm grateful. So you have an open invite. Tell Paul to go see the other team play, but
Thank you, buddy. Matt Rhule, Nebraska football coach, with us on 365 Sports. And Paul, you're not going to Lincoln anytime soon.
No, I would kill to go to Lincoln. It's on my bucket list venues. So
the only thing that went wrong was, of course, the loss, but it was a remarkable experience. We're now joined by Chris Fallica, Fox Sports, longtime part of Game Day and an incredibly brilliant mind when it comes to college football. Chris, thank you very much. I know it's a very busy week, as it is always for you. Thanks for your time. This is an unbelievable weekend of college football with Texas, Ohio State, Columbus, and, of course, Alabama, Florida State, because of the history and tradition of the schools, and then Clemson, LSU. Your thoughts about bangers, as I call them, this opening weekend?
Well, before I get into the bangers on the weekend, the game that Coach Rhule's involved in on Thursday is a pretty interesting game, too. And by the way, how great is he? I met him when he was at Temple. And when Game Day went there, they played Notre Dame. It was an unbelievable game. He took great care of us. Then to see him succeed at Baylor, I love that guy, and I hope that they have a great year this year. But they are in a position now where they're favored at Arrowhead. Are going to be largely Nebraska fans there. High expectations. That's a tricky opener when everyone's kind of expecting you to be that buzz team to go out there and win a game against a team you're better than. So I'm looking forward to that Thursday night. But the biggest thing that I love about this weekend in college football is that the three big games, the three top 10 games that you have, they're all standalone games. You got Ohio State, Texas at noon on Saturday. You got Clemson, LSU that night. You got Miami, Notre Dame on Sunday. Like, they all fall at periods of the Alabama, Florida State as well. They all fall at periods of the day where you can just lock in and watch all of those individually. So it's the first time ever you've had an opening week with 3 top 10 matchups. So it is a massive start to the year, and you're certainly going to be jumping in the pool, both feet in, head first, however you want to say it. Is the off season now is ended, and the reward for the long off season is games like this right off the bat.
I want to make sure, are you going to be able to get in the stadium? Which would be a big noon kickoff. Oh,
yeah, I'm good. Ryan Day and me are good. The Ohio State athletic program and me are good. Chip Kelly and me are good. Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere yesterday, huh?
Yeah, that was a little bit interesting.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, you may not. I mean, what is that? Was always the plan not to have him go in the stadium?
I have no idea. Like, what the plans were. And I'm not trying to be political.
Yeah.
Your question. I honestly have no. When I think it was Ryan Glass-Steagall first reported that yesterday afternoon, that was literally the first I had heard of it. We had a production call earlier in the day, and it didn't come up. So clearly, something happened at some point in the course of the day to create that. But I'm curious to see what what's going to wind up happening now. Obviously, he'll be a big part of our show outside before we.
Yeah, that's been rebuked a little bit over throughout the day about that. Just a story that was there, and it might just evaporate over the next few days. Hopefully, it does. Yeah. Your thoughts, though, about I mentioned the bang Arch Manning. Who would you compare him to in college football in your time with this kind of buildup? And the lore is a word we've seen used before too.
The only name that comes to mind is. And you're a college football historian and go back a long way, is Ron Powlus. Beano Cook, obviously, saying Ron Powlus is going to win multiple Heisman before he even played it down at Notre Dame in the early 90s there. And obviously he didn't. But in terms of the hype and the expectation and the anticipation, I mean, obviously you've got Arch with the Manning family name out of a university like Texas, and you had Ron Powlus, obviously not with the family name, but a school like Notre Dame, who was coming off of a national title, and the great run that they had under Lou Holtz. Like, in terms of the anticipation and the expectations, I think Ron Powlus is probably the best parallel to what we're seeing right now with Arch, Texas.
What do you think about the quarterback matchup overall in this game with Julian Sayin and it's not Arch's first start, and it's not his first game action, but it is for Julian Sayin.
It is. He got in a little bit of mop-up time late in the Tennessee game last year in the playoff. But I think the curious thing for me, and I think people watching the game, and probably for Texas as they look to game plan against Julian Sayin on the Ohio State offense, is you've got a new play caller, first-time play caller in Brian Hartline. You've got 2 new running backs, and you've got a quarterback in Julian Sayin who is completely different from what Will Howard was at Ohio State. Will Howard was a threat to run. You guys watch him in the Big 12. You know what he did at Kansas State. He was a threat to run if things broke down, the offensive line broke down. Julian Sayin's not that kind of guy. He's got a better arm. He can spin it. He can get in there. They got the best wide receiver group in the country. But if that offensive line breaks down, how will Sayin respond to that? That's what I am most curious about in this game, because that Texas defense, maybe a couple of questions up front, but those linebackers and secondary, they got the potential to be the best unit in the country.
Chris, this is not your mama's or your grandmama's college football. I mean, this is a totally different era than what we saw even 5-10 years ago. And it's been talked about, all the different bells and whistles from NIL to portal and all points in between as to why it is the way that it is. But there's also the expanded playoff at the same time. How have you, as a longtime college football fan, just sort of digested it all? And where's your head when it comes to these things either being great for the game to grow even further, or maybe not so good? Kind of how do you absorb all of the different change that's going on with this sport that we all love so much?
I'm kind of slow to change. I mean, I'm one of the guys who was like anti 12-team playoff. I thought the playoff should be hard to qualify for. I loved it at 4 teams when they created it. Like, you should know it was going to be difficult to get in, and that's what made it great. There was so much mattered at the end of the year in the regular season, and it was truly mattered. And you saw an undefeated team get left out because their quarterback got hurt in one of the final years. So, but that being said, the first year of 12 was great. I think the home games for the opening round were fantastic, and I think it did create a lot of buzz and interest and keep a lot of other fan bases interested in the playoff. The intent of NIL, all for. If you are a player like Tim Tebow or a player who brought so much value to your program, yeah, you should be getting a cut. You should be compensated. Your face and your name and image likeness is benefiting the athletic program as a whole. Like modern day, like if you're Caitlin Clark, yeah, you elevated women's college basketball to a different level at Iowa. You should absolutely be getting a piece of the pie. What I don't like about it is that somewhere along the way, NIL diverged from what we have, and it's pay for play. Basically, who's going to drop the biggest bag? And people can argue that it went on all along illegally when you just in the recruiting days. But there's kind of a disconnect there in terms of what the intent of NIL and ultimately what it's become. Kind of got a leak in there, go to the portal, and you got a bag waiting for you on the other side. So I get it. It's where we are in the sport, and hopefully there can be a little bit of organization and some leadership at the top that can kind of figure out where we're going from here. Because that intent, great, but where we are right now,
Chris, what's the buildup like with these Saturday pregame shows that you're a part of now with Fox Big Noon Kickoff? You've been a part of this for a long, long time. What is the prep like, and is it a buildup to a crescendo when that show begins on Saturday, mid to late morning?
It is, and obviously when I was with Game Day, the crescendo was always the headgear pick for Lee Corso at the end of the show. We were building the 3 hours of the show, and that was kind of the aha moment. Who's Lee going to pick in the guest picker segment? Now with Big Noon, it's a little bit different because we were typically at that game that's starting at noon. So it's almost like we have the 2 hours to kind of build up as not only the national pregame show, but a pregame show to get you ready for Joel and Gus and Jenny in that game. So that's kind of how when I'm inside the stadium for like that final hit in the segment and the band is just coming on the field and the crowd is filling in and getting wound up, that buildup of knowing that there's a kickoff imminent, a little bit different from what Game Day was, but it's still a very cool, unique experience for me in terms of actually the show morning in itself. And hopefully we're doing a good job trying to capture the pageantry and get you set for a big game on Saturday. But in terms of the week, the actual week, my workload week, it's basically the same as it's always been, just kind of going through, looking for some statistical information, some data, whether it's a good note for the show itself, whether it's a gambling related note that might help make people some money, but you're doing a lot of writing, doing the podcasting. So it's great to be able to branch out and have a lot of fun, and then know that all of the work that I put in throughout the week in prep comes to a head at about 11:57 on Saturday morning.
Which game of the big ones, the big matchups this week, do you think is most likely to maybe go against conventional wisdom of what the spread is, of what people might think about the teams going in?
I think I would have to say, are we including Alabama, Florida State in that? Or
yes. Yes.
I would say that one. And the only reason I say that is I don't necessarily think Florida State's going to pull the outright upset. But for Alabama, with Ty Simpson, a first-time starting quarterback there, I know he played at USF in the middle of the game a couple of years ago when whatever was going on with Jalen Miller was going on. But for him to go on the road now and that Alabama team to go on the road, you're not going to have Jam Miller running back. Maybe the weather is a little bad. Florida State was garbage last year, 2-10 after being a preseason top 10 team. Mike Norvell kind of upheaved his staff, and you got Gus Malzahn there now. Tommy Castellanos is a quarterback. I don't know how great Florida State is going to be this year, but you're going to get the best effort from Florida State that you're going to get all season Saturday afternoon, a big double-digit underdog at home. It would not surprise me at all if the Noles kind of hung around there in this one, and maybe there was a little bit of struggle from out, because that's one of the narratives I think this year with the SEC is you've got Alabama, Georgia, Texas, the three teams at the top. And I think you can say, okay, well, people are just assuming that Arch is going to go in there and be great, and hopefully he will be. People, I think, are just assuming, oh, it's Bama. They'll be back. Bama is always back. Yeah, but the biggest part of Bama is now sitting on the College Game Day set. And then you have Georgia, where it's like, oh yeah, Kirby, you guys got to trust Kirby, and they're telling us they're going to be better without Carson Beck, and they're going to be better with Gunnar Stockton. Really? Like, that's my biggest question of the year. Can Gunnar Stockton actually play? And it brought me to a conclusion where, like, are we maybe missing out on the obvious? Is LSU potentially the best team in the SEC? They don't have Texas or Georgia on the schedule in the regular season. So, like, if you're looking for a nice little price on a team to win the SEC, LSU at 7-1 is something that you might want to look at.
Chris, I don't know if you got eyes on Iowa State, K-State last week, but I was just thinking about, okay, good, you did. I would love your thoughts on that game, just to kind of open things up. But is the Big 12 like a nightmare to try and throw money around on? Like, I would just imagine that it's not very clear cut whatsoever, so it could kind of make things difficult when trying to peg just about anything when it comes to that conference.
And look no further than last year, when you had BYU, who was picked 13th in the league. They started 9-0. You had Arizona State, who was picked last in the league. They wound up winning the league, and we all went into the year saying, oh, you could pick any one of 7 or 8 teams out of a hat, and it wouldn't surprise you. It were teams that weren't even in the hat that wound up being a factor in the race. So, yeah, it's funny. People will. A buddy of mine was texting me the other day saying, like, all these talking heads out there saying, this is who I would bet to win the Big 12. Like, why are you throwing your money away on that when it's basically a crapshoot where you can make a case for Kansas State, Iowa State, Utah, however, Arizona State, however, Kansas now. They looked great against Fresno State on Saturday. So it's a very tough league to handicap. I'm curious how serious that Dylan Edwards injury is. Hopefully he'll be back soon, because that really seemed like it took away a lot of Kansas State's running game, and maybe that fourth down play where Avery Johnson was short, maybe would have turned out a little bit differently. But I was really impressed with Iowa State. You knew they had a couple of new receivers coming in. Rocco Beck struggled early in the game in terms of completion percentage, but he got it going, and then Carson Hansen, I don't know if they kept him fresh for the second half or the fourth quarter on purpose, but he ran unbelievable in the fourth quarter. So as a guy who has been a long time unofficial ambassador and mayor of Ames and loved Iowa State and supported them, I'm fired up to get there with Big Noon in a couple of weeks. It's going to be great. Yeah, I came away a lot more impressed with Iowa State than I potentially thought they would be this year.
Chris, I know that you're at Fox, but I would be remiss not to ask you about the memories of working with Lee Corso.
Oh, Lee is an original. He's as authentic and genuine of a person as you will ever come across. And like when I stepped in, I came in 1996, which is the same year as Kirk Herbstreit started on the show. The way he treated us and the way he kind of helped us along with the show, it was fantastic. And then after he suffered his stroke, it was kind of our way of like putting our arm around him and guiding him and helping him and making sure that he never felt out of place or like he was on an island. If he was struggling for a moment, we were going to be there to pick him up. And personally, I have to thank Lee for giving me the nickname. Who the heck knows where I would be if I didn't have this little moniker Bear? Kind of taken off with a catchy little nickname. We're sitting, Kirk and I, having brunch one day, and Lee walks up to us and takes a look at me, takes a look at the table, takes a look at Kirk, and takes a look at the table and me again, and he's just like, "Look at you, Fallica. You're like a bear. You eat, you sleep, you poop. You go take a nap again, and you do it all over again. You're like a bear." So. Little nickname like that has turned into this little persona that's I've created for myself, and I have Lee to thank for that.
Last question. I know you got to go. You have things you got to get to. Paul, anything else?
I just want to say, look, I'm an FSU alum, and I think they should build a statue of him at FSU. I think that like he has. Outside of Bobby Bowden, I can't think of one person who's brought more positive attention to that than he has. I can't even fathom it.
No, he is a great ambassador of the sport. And I don't think it's hyperbole to ask the question of like if his personality and his idea to honor Kirk and his future wife by putting on the Brutus head in 1996 to honor Kirk's first show back in Columbus, and that headgear pick and his taking off and the skits. We had schools that wanted us to come when I was at game day to the campus just because of that. It created popularity for the sport, revenue for the sport, and for schools and for ESPN and the show. It just absolutely took off. And like, who knows if game day continues and is popular and goes on the road with that? Who knows if there's a big noon kickoff that's created? Who knows if there's an Inside the NBA that goes on the road? All these pregame shows, I think, really have a debt of gratitude to Lee and everything that he took. And I agree with you too on Lee. People might forget, and he reminded you in the documentary special last week, he held the Florida State interception record until a guy named Dion came along.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Chris, amazing to get you on the show. We appreciate you so much. Enjoy the week. I know you will. Thanks for your time and enjoy college football. I know you will too.
We certainly will. It's going to be a great weekend, and talk to you again soon, guys.
Yes, sir. Chris Fallica, Fox Sports, the Bear, with us on 365 Sports. And so coming up, Shahan Jaraja from CBS Sports, but hope you enjoy the opening hour. Matt Rhule and Chris Fallica. This is 365 Sports.
No matter what you nurture.
As my go-to guy, can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery for my G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Right now at Bird Collision Ford, we're bringing you an offer that's as big as America. Employee pricing for everyone. You pay what they pay. That means you drive home a new Ford F-150, Bronco Sport, Expedition, Super Duty. From America, for America. Employee pricing for everyone at BK Ford. Looking to sell your vehicle? Get top dollar for yours today. Don't miss out. Employee pricing is available for a limited time. Visit us anytime at bkford.com. Experience better at BK Ford.
I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. This is how I wanna live. Forever we'll be singing like, oh, I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. This is how I wanna live. This is how I wanna. Forever we'll be singing like, oh, I'll never get used to this.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%.
Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels.
We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
We lead into now the marquee name of our first hour or so, Matt Rhule, Chris Fallica, and now Shahan Jaraja. How you doing, young man? Appreciate your time. How fun is it? We now have at least a little evidence from the weekend and some bangers, more evidence this weekend.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's been a long off season, and so I think you look ahead to this week one, and we've got some absolutely fantastic games. Obviously, the Baylor Auburn game on Friday, but you look Texas Ohio State, Clemson LSU, Miami Notre Dame. Like, this is one of the most stacked opening weeks that I can remember.
So what are your thoughts about Farmageddon, which is apparently not allowed to be called Farmageddon anymore, according to the Big 12 and the schools, what Reese Davis said, which, again, good luck trying that. I mean, any kid with a nickname they didn't like knows that, people are going to call things what they're going to call them no matter what. What'd you think of Iowa State's toughing that one out and really making the better decisions down the stretch?
I mean, I thought it was a very impressive win by them. You know, heading into that game, I was a little concerned about some of their playmaking ability on offense after losing 2 NFL receivers. And I think we saw some of those issues come to fruition. But I think that where they really were able to be impressive was on the defensive line. That was a unit that I think really gave Kansas State a lot of problems. Obviously, Kansas State manages to score some points in the fourth quarter, but like this was a game that was very much dominated by Iowa State's defense. They really felt like after last season that even though their rush defense didn't rank among one of the better ones in the Big 12, that injuries played a big part of that. And with the amount of depth that they brought back in 2025, young depth that had an opportunity to get on the field because of injuries, they felt like they were poised to take a big step forward. And I think right now, I mean, they have taken over, obviously, first place in the Big 12, and especially having that tiebreaker over Kansas State, who's been considered a major conference championship contender. I think that they have to be feeling really good heading into week 1.
Yeah, I think Kansas State, Shahan, might be a team to kind of monitor because of the stuff that occurred. I mean, like the fight with Avery Johnson's family, the Dylan Edwards, was he faking the injury thing? That just struck me as so un-Kansas State-like. You know, I don't think there's like the program's gone rogue or anything, but it just made me stop for a second and go, I wonder if this could be problematic down the line of just, you know, things are just kind of weird this year. Did that cross your mind at all in terms of the loss and just the after effects of that loss as well?
Well, I think more than anything else, it just kind of exemplifies the amount of pressure on this team right now. I think that in the Big 12, you go through sort of these, I guess you could call them like timelines, right? And when you have a returning quarterback, when you have some key guys back on defense, when you have returners at wide receiver, like you're expected to perform in a big way. And I thought that it was a bit ridiculous, even the idea that some of the Dylan Edwards stuff would get brought up. I mean, obviously, he wouldn't have gone out there just for the opening punt return only to walk away from the team. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Obviously, this guy wants to be on the football field. It's not like he has somewhere else to go. You know, it's not like he can enter the transfer portal before week 1. And so I thought that was a little ridiculous. You know, I feel bad for Avery Johnson and his family for that whole situation. But, you know, I think that like these are some of the dynamics that are going to be interesting as you start to look forward, because a lot more is being put into these players, right? From a monetary perspective, from an investment perspective. And I think that when you do end up in a situation where you lose your rivalry game for the 3rd straight season, I think tempers can start to fly, not just among the players, but also in the fan base.
You know, Shahan, there's what I call bangers, top 25 games that both teams are ranked, even if it's 17 against 20, or like Iowa State, Kansas State, that game's over. Of the two that are top 10, Ohio State, Texas, and then, of course, Clemson and LSU, who would have the best win if they win this weekend?
That's a really good question. I think that I lean towards that LSU Clemson game. And the reason that I do is because I think that for Ohio State, I view them as a team that's going to be figuring some stuff out across the year. I don't think that they're a finished product as yet. Whereas with LSU and Clemson, like one, I think it's critical from the perspective of that the winner of this game, I think, suddenly becomes one of the favorites to be the number 1 overall seed in the playoff. 2, I think that you can almost lock up a playoff spot by winning this game if you're either of those teams. And then 3, I think that you look at these rosters right now, they are culminating at this perfect time. I've made the comparison a couple of times to 2021 when Georgia plays against Clemson in the season opening week 1 game. And Georgia wins that game on a pick 6, and that kind of helped set the table for them to go on to win their first national championship in 41 years. I think that it could work the other way around too for either LSU or Clemson. LSU is a team I'm very high on. I think they've got the best returning quarterback in the country in Garrett Nussmeier. And Clemson, of course, is one of the best defensive lines that we've seen in college football in the past couple of years. So a huge matchup for those two teams. Again, look, I'm definitely leaning Texas in that Ohio State game. I think they're further along, but I think that this is not going to be the best version of Ohio State that we see this year. I think that this is a critical version of Clemson and LSU to come forward.
What do you think about Miami, new defensive coordinator, and Notre Dame, new quarterback? That's kind of an interesting little clash there. Where do you think the push and pull happens in that game in Miami on Sunday night?
Well, for me, I mean, this should be, if things go to plan, a Notre Dame coming out party. I think that Notre Dame is a much better team at this point. I think that they're a deeper team. I think you look across the field, they're stacked at almost every position. The big question is kind of that quarterback gap between the two teams. You got Carson Beck, who's a fifth-year player, and then you've got, of course, CJ Carr coming in as a first-year quarterback as a redshirt freshman. So I think that that's the biggest thing that I'll see is, I think that Miami, of course, has that advantage at the quarterback position coming in. I think that Miami also, for how good Notre Dame's offensive line is, Miami's might be even better under an offensive line coach and Mario Cristobal leading that program. But the defense is a big part of this game. I mean, I think that, they made it a change at defensive coordinator for a reason. They feel like they're going to have a chance to be better down to down under this new staff, but it's a lot to ask to go against one of the most physically gifted offenses in the country, including, a guy who could be a Heisman finalist and Jeremiah Love at running back. So I give Notre Dame the edge in this game, but it's really going to come down to whether Miami can deal with some of the physicality that Notre Dame brings to the table on offense.
So, Shahan, I know that typically in the media you're supposed to stay, unbiased and down the line. We've seen those waters get muddied entirely over the last few years. Like it's just a different world. But you do a good job of still staying professional. But you're also a fan, and you're a Baylor grad, and you're around for a bunch of games at McClain Stadium. None in the non-conference, though, as big as what they're going to see on Friday night. And they are breaking out every trick and treat they possibly can, from the return of chrome helmets to a blackout to drone shows to, everything under the sun. What's your excitement level to see them take on a team like Auburn in the non-con in a premier matchup? And also your thoughts on the game itself.
Well, and by the way, they're bringing me and Robert Griffin back down to Waco, so it's going to be it's going to be a party in that press box. But it's such an interesting game, and I think that you're right. The amount of stuff they're doing to prepare for this game kind of says it all, right? This is one of the most important games that Baylor has played over the last couple of years. And I say that for a couple of reasons. One, when you have an opportunity to play against a mid-tier SEC team, one who, you should be able to compete with at a high level, you have to take advantage of those opportunities. It's not just for this one game, but it's for how it sort of shapes the narrative of the season, because Auburn's going to be a team that probably finishes 7th, 8th, 9th in the Southeastern Conference. If you are a team in the Big 12 wanting to make the college football playoff, you need to have some of those essentially tiebreakers heading into the month of December. And I think that it's a big opportunity, not just for Baylor, but for the Big 12 to make that happen. The other thing too, is that I think that when you look at this matchup, Baylor should be the better team in this game. Obviously they have a big advantage, I think, at the quarterback position. They've got 4 returning starting offensive linemen. I think at running back, they still have a chance to be very, very good. At receiver, I think the addition or the return rather of Ashton Hawkins could be a major matchup in this game. But it's going to come down to in the secondary, especially on that back end. Like, how are you able to compete with what should be a top 5 receiving core in the country? I think Auburn brings to the table. So huge opportunity. I think the crowd is going to play a big part in how this comes together. And there's a reason that they pulled out all the stops. It's a nationally televised Fox Friday game, and everybody's going to be watching.
By the way, when I mentioned that you and Robert were both coming back for this game, everybody got mad. Robert was a part of the broadcast. They did not say anything negative about you, Shahan.
Well, I think that you don't have to listen to me quite as much on the broadcast, but I think that Rob does a great job. I've actually, I don't know if I've ever met him. I'm gonna have to try to get in early to make sure that I say hey to him. But I think he does a really good job on the broadcast. He's done a couple of Baylor games before, but I think he does a good job overall of staying pretty neutral. But he always brings a little bit of fun to the table. I think there'll be plenty of that in this Baylor Auburn game.
Is this the biggest non-conference game in Baylor's had since maybe back in the days of Grant Teff?
Yeah, I'm trying to think through. There haven't been a lot is obviously one part of it, right?
No.
In the 2010s when I was down there, they kind of took pride in the fact that they just lined up 3 wins and made them happen. I'm trying to think back. I think like those Baylor BYU games were a lot of fun, but not necessarily ones that got a ton of outside attention that same way. I mean, it has to be this. And I think that even when this game was scheduled and when this series was scheduled, people knew this was going to be a big-time match because, look, I'll make a comparison, for example, to like the West Virginia-Alabama games that were scheduled in a couple years that were just canceled. I think everybody kind of understood West Virginia probably is not going to be able to compete well in those games. Well, with Auburn, you've got a team that I think is in a very similar position to Baylor as well, trying to prove itself again on the national stage. Obviously had some up and down years. This is a prove-it opportunity for them. I mean, this is sort of the unsaid part for people in Big 12 country is that actually this is a massive game for Auburn, a season-defining game in some ways for Auburn. They've had a messy offseason. They've pulled out all of their own stops, retiring Cam Newton's jersey, claiming a whole bunch of extra national championships. Like, they also really, 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 really need this game to go well. So I think that that's going to bring a lot of attention, not just from the Big 12 side of things, but also from the SEC.
I know that there's probably others that you could say, but I would say that Hugh Freeze is the coach with the most pressure on him this season, especially in the SEC, and that includes Mark Stoops, because I think Billy Napier's kind of maybe cleared it a little bit, and he has DJ Lagway to fall back on, so there's a little bit of proof of concept with Florida. But for Auburn, he's been 5-7 2 years in a row. So if he doesn't, and 6-6 and 7-5, I don't think is going to do it for them. If he doesn't show something right now, then I mean, maybe it's not this year, but his clock is ticking loud.
100%. I think that you have to throw Brent Venables in Oklahoma onto there, but like I think that the biggest thing with Auburn is that they've showed nothing almost to this point, right? I mean, he's an offensive coach. This offense has been terrible the past couple of years. They haven't developed at a high enough level. They've brought in some really, really good receivers over the last 2 years, but they haven't had anywhere near the quarterback play that they need to make it happen. So like, I think that again, you just look all around, like there's not a whole lot to be excited about with this Auburn team. And that's why there's so much focus put on this season is that, you know, the reason that you hired Hugh Freeze is because he recruits at a high level, which he's recruited at a pretty high level, and because he wins these big games. He won 2 games against Alabama. I don't think he has this job if he doesn't beat Alabama twice while he's at Ole Miss. But this is the year where kind of the on-field coaching stuff has to come together. There's a lot of pressure, and I mean, you mentioned maybe it doesn't happen this year. If they don't make a bowl game like they didn't last year, I think it does happen this year. In this industry, you're only really given 3 years. And I think that the other piece you have to look at too is, I mean, look at the last guy, right? Brian Harsin was gone only after a year and a half. So if they show absolutely nothing for 4 straight seasons, 3 under Hugh Freeze, I think they'll definitely be looking for a new coach after the season.
Shahan, thank you, man. Great to see you. Appreciate your time. We'll see you Saturday. We'll see you Friday night.
Friday. Looking forward to it.
We'll see you then. Thank you very much. Shahan Jaraja from CBS Sports. And a hell of a weekend in college football coming up. It starts early with even games coming up on Thursday night. I'll be doing a high school game Thursday night while my favorite team is playing, and that'll be interesting to kind of glance at the phone, Gamecast or whatever that is. Then I look forward, because initially the high school game Midway was scheduled Friday. They moved it to Thursday because there's a big core of their fans that live in that area. So I'll be able to go and watch a game, a night game on a Friday night.
So just to let everybody know, the next 3 Thursdays, correct?
Yeah, I'm out.
You're out. They're playing Midway is they've turned into the Maction.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. 3 consecutive Thursdays.
Yeah.
And then still even a couple more later in the year too. So
any nervousness about Cincinnati?
No, yeah, absolutely. You guys saw what Satterfield looked like in Frisco. You saw that.
Brennan Sorsby's a good quarterback.
Yeah, they got a guy named Dante Corleone, and I am. I absolutely am. I think it'll be a nice win if you get it. I don't care if it's 30-27 or whatever it might be. Win and move on. And these are the kind of games that over the last 8 to 10 years they haven't won.
You know, I wish we would have interviewed Dante Corleone. We didn't. We were trying to.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out at Big 12 Media Days. But I think since he is Don Corleone, when he makes a sack, instead of doing something big, he should just go like this.
Yeah,
well, I just hope he's more Godfather 1 and 2 and not Godfather 3 as far as his performance this year goes. I think, kind of got robbed of some of him last year. And so I think to have him back, that was a big boon, and that was the big storyline for Cincy, was having their key figures like Sorsby, like Corleone, and so forth back this season. So I think that's where a lot of the confidence from Satterfield comes from. But yeah, that's not just a cakewalk for Nebraska necessarily in that opener. And that's just as much of a big opportunity as Baylor beating Auburn. If you're a Big 12 supporter, that you're looking for these marquee non-con games to kind of switch the narrative around a little bit, well, that'd be one of them. Cincinnati beating a team like Nebraska out of the Big Ten would certainly go a long way, the same way that a Baylor beating an Auburn would. Or don't forget, the weekend comes to a close on Monday.
Yeah.
It's TCU, North Carolina.
Absolutely.
So there are some games out there that you really, if you're, again, following the narratives and things like that, and you're concerned with those kinds of things, that's what you have to go and do, is go win some of those games, win 2 out of 3 of them or 3 out of 4 of them, and kind of put the rest of the country on notice. But we'll see how those go. I'm a Matt Rhule fan, and I'm always going to root for him. But I know that's a huge thing for Cincinnati to have that opportunity to make a statement in game number 1.
And it's in Kansas City. And so, both fan bases aren't far from there, probably a lot more from Nebraska, since that has been a Big Red, not stranglehold, but it has been a place where a lot of Nebraska fans will flock to whenever they can. Super chat from a few minutes ago with Kim Coulter. We appreciate that. Great first hour. We're now, of course, a third of the way through the second hour. And I got to say this, and I don't think those of you in the chat room, because we've talked about some who have gone through some major battles with their life, with their limbs, and with a lot of things. Kim is in Lubbock, in town to go to the game, and he is having major issues with his back. And I think Retired Stockbroker just tossed in a couple of things. I know John Peterson, all of them going through back problems, including, of course, I've had that, but I feel a little bit better this week than I did last week after having some treatment.
Which is why we're proud to bring you Dr. Chuck Smith, chiropractor to the stars.
No, what I love about our audience, and at times I share my number, but we've kind of kept up with each other. What's treatments working for you? Is it straight injections like steroid? Is it like me? I had a stem cell, or others who have just been like locked up and in trouble with painkillers.
I mean, it's also what senior citizens talk about.
No, and I mean,
doctor,
don't insult our audience, Paul.
Yeah, it's doctors, and I'm just preparing. It's going to happen to us before we know it.
No, Greg. Never. I'm staying young forever.
Yeah. I think Kim's back hurts because he's always carrying the chat room.
Yeah, carrying them where?
Yeah, I mean, wherever. But yeah.
Yeah, but I just wanted to, for all of you with aches and pains, and of course, S. Michael DeHart, his surgery delayed quite a bit with what he's facing, our great friend, S. Michael DeHart. All right. Anything we want to go? We have a couple of minutes, and then we have Taylor McCart.
Yeah, I mean, that was a lot to digest for the last hour, but cool to talk to Rhule and get his thoughts on the podcast. And I'm sure Paul loved the answer about Bobby Bowden to that question that I asked. And I thought about that last night. I was like, yeah, man, who would be kind of cool to listen to do a podcast from just any coaches? Because he's like the first. I mean, he's not the first to do a pod, but like out there going like, hey, this is the Matt Rhule podcast, basically, House Rules. And would Bob Stoops have been a good podcaster? Or I know Mac Brown's got the new one with Vince Young, right?
Yep.
So there's some former coaches that are dabbling, but I do wonder if it's because, look, man, the crimson-colored waterfalls became purple waterfalls at another place and blue waterfalls at another place. And then somebody had a barber shop at like A&M, I think, was one of the first. And then everybody had a barber shop. And now everybody's doing the podcast studios in their facilities. And they all follow the leader, basically. Yeah. So I would imagine some are gonna follow Matt Rhule's lead. But he also had a very good point about it. Your coaches and their egos, man. That there may not be a whole line foreman to go and follow suit.
There are people like Matt who are very comfortable in that space. And had he taken a year off, I'm almost positive he would have been on some station doing a pregame
analysis
show.
Work.
He would have been. He would have been.
Well, I mean, Phil
that.
Bennett should be on somebody too.
Exactly. But and look, that's. I mean, there's more coaches I know that wouldn't be good at it than would, just because of the nature of it. But like, man, Give Rich Rodriguez a microphone and some time.
Or is that not a good idea?
It would have to be on YouTube. It would have to be on YouTube with someone like that.
I'm going to give him a cold 6-pack, too, when I do that. To really loosen him up and get him.
You wouldn't have to give him one. He'd bring him with him. But
surprisingly, like Belichick was really good on TV. I don't know if he'd be good in the podcast space where you're just kind of doing that because
what's good about podcasts for coaches though? If they have their own, they get to control it.
I think unfortunately he would be like the Undertaker's podcast where now like the wife is co-hosting and you like I just don't love that dynamic. So we'd have what's her name? I've already forgotten her name.
Jordan
Don't tell
Hudson?
me. No. I wanted to forget it. Damn it. I'd actually forgotten it there for a second, but now you've reminded me. But yeah, I feel like she would be co-hosting it, and I would just completely lose interest immediately. But yeah, I think there will probably be some guys, just maybe not the Ryan Days of the world, that are jumping out there to do the podcast thing. But I applaud Matt Rhule for doing that. And by the way, on the Chris Fallica thing, as I'm sitting here taking notes, the Dave Portnoy thing is getting wildly misconstrued.
Okay, what's the latest? Because it's still being misrepresented. Even the chat room, this
was actually for Off the Radar.
Well, we can wait.
Let's wait. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what's really going on. It's not exactly as it was proposed. Everything's cool, but it wasn't necessarily reported correctly. Imagine that.
Oh, shocking!
And then everybody didn't wait for it to be reported correctly and make sure it was on the up and up before they ran with it. And Portnoy, of course, is gonna. I mean, that was like throwing chum in the water for him. Like that, he got banned by Ohio State from being in their stadium. That's not exactly true. In about 15 minutes or so after our next guest, Taylor, I will tell you to start off the radar what the truth is about
It was
that.
brought up in the chat room. Also, later on, we don't have it locked in, but later on, we got to get to New Mexico's depth chart. The football team playing Michigan. It was kind of a funny moment. I love that response from New Mexico. We'll get to that and more. Taylor McCarg, who is now a part of Inside the Big 12 that's recorded here in Waco and on Thursday nights, 6:30 Eastern on True TV and HBO Max. He is with us. He's next. This is 365 Sports. And Baylor alumni, Doug Furch, Paul Thorpe, getting ready for game day on Friday. They'll have all sorts of, activity, energy, food, entertainment. Just across what is the pedestrian bridge. It goes just across an inlet, which is almost like a pond, off the Brazos River, just a little bit on the southeast side of McClain Stadium. What Doug and also Paul do are what schools do, universities do, and they do it at a high level. I've seen them when they go on the road, whether it's a sporting event or something else, a bowl game or an NCAA tournament game. They will have a spot wherever Baylor travels and also make sure that the alums and donors, et cetera, have a place to hang out while they're ready for a game, or maybe even at a hotel lobby getting ready for a week or 2 or 3 days leading up to an event too. So get in touch with them on Facebook or go to Baylor.edu. It's the Baylor Alumni Group, and they will be full throttle with a tailgate set up Friday night before the Baylor game against Auburn.
Allen Samuels in Waco, your Central Texas commercial headquarters. Get a new Ram 2500 crew cab starting at just $43,990. Don't miss the savings during the Make This the Summer event. Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Taylor McCord, who's joined us and during football season, very busy. He will be Houston against SFA Thursday night doing that game, and then UTEP at Utah State Saturday. Plus, I mentioned a minute ago, inside the Big 12 Thursdays, 6:30 Eastern on True TV, HBO Max. We'll discuss that with him in a moment. Taylor, thank you much for your time. What were your thoughts about the Iowa State K-State game, starting with that, and then we'll move forward in how Rocco Beck made key plays for Iowa State? Avery Johnson seemed to play well, but it didn't end well.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me on. I thought if you played that game 10 times, that it's probably around 500 for each of those teams. I thought they were pretty balanced. And the first half, the rain, the sloppiness, the fumbles, I was glad to see the second half where the rain stops and we got to actually see some good quarterback play. And I know Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards being out, I do think impacted them some with their play calling with Kansas State. But I really thought both quarterbacks played well. I mean, Rocco Beck had the fumble early, some incompletion issues in the first half, but Rocco Beck delivered the ball really nicely in the second half, had some really good downfield throws. And then Avery Johnson, I thought played really well. I mean, he was efficient. Iowa State's scheme did a nice job of trying to keep everything in front of them. And Avery Johnson had to be patient for most of the game. He had a couple home run balls in the second half, which one of them was schemed up. The other one was a busted coverage. But I thought from a quarterback perspective, they did a nice job. I thought it came down to those fourth down conversions. Iowa State converted theirs. Kansas State, for the most part, did not. And the last thing that I would say, and we said this on the show, look, I thought it was a bad spot on that 4th and 1 call. I thought Avery Johnson picked it up. I thought the review, there were all sorts of bodies in the way, and I could understand why the call stayed where it was on the field based on that spot. I just thought they got the spot wrong. But for Kansas State fans, it's amazing. One game and everybody freaks out. I still think Kansas State is a top 3 or 4 team in this league. I think they absolutely have an opportunity, not just to get their way back to the Big 12 championship, but I still think that's a team that if they play well through the rest of the non-conference and then in league play, this is setting up for, and we'll talk more about this later with Baylor and Auburn, but there's an opportunity if the league plays well in non-conference play for this to be a year that the Big 12 gets 2 teams in.
Taylor, do you worry about the extracurriculars that happened to Kansas State, the noise around it, or do you think that Chris Kleiman, because they usually, they win culture there quite a bit, can handle it?
Yeah, I don't think it's something that you probably internally moved on pretty quickly from because it didn't impact your team. I mean, it's embarrassing, and I really feel for Avery Johnson that he gets done in that matchup, played well, and then he's got to fly home and look at his phone and see that going on with his family. But in terms of how it impacts the team, honestly, probably within the building, that was something they were able to compartmentalize and move on from pretty quickly because it didn't involve anybody on the team. I feel for Avery Johnson that he had to deal with it, really.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's really unfortunate. Probably already feeling bad enough about just the game itself, and then you leave the field and there's all that stuff going on. I think they'll be fine. But I think Shahan Jaraja also joined us, and he put it like that if anything, it's just kind of a sign of the pressure, right, that K-State's under to be a good team because they have the great quarterback and because they have a Dylan Edwards and all of those things. So that's going to be interesting to see how they handle that pressure moving forward. Not going to ask you, obviously, about every game because we don't have time, but did you get eyes on Jalen Daniels and Jim Zabrowski and what was a pretty thorough and efficient win by the Kansas Jayhawks last Saturday?
I did, and I thought Kansas fans should be really encouraged, not just by the offense and how they looked, but I thought their defense looked really good as well. Jeff Zabrowski, I thought he deserves a ton of credit for. A year ago, it felt like Jalen Daniels and that offense had regressed under Jeff Grimes. And under Zabrowski, I thought they played to Jalen Daniels' strengths early and often. And what I mean by that is there were so many looks where play action was either off of an option fake or zone read fake, and they mixed up where either a back was leaking out on a wheel route or a back was in the flat. And they did a nice job mixing up where the attack was going to come from. And you're able to do that because Jalen Daniels is a good athlete. And early in the game, he popped about a 25 or 30-yard run. And if they can do that while also, my only complaint for Kansas is to try and take some hits off of him. He got a few shots in that game. And, it's against, Fresno State. As they move into league play, you got to try and keep him upright and keep him healthy. But I thought it was a really encouraging week 0 for Kansas as well.
Taylor, you are a part of that show I mentioned now, Inside the Big 12, and you had Todd McShay as a guest. What did he say about the quarterback play with obviously Arnold at Auburn, getting his debut, and Sawyer Robertson back after getting a lot of reps and putting up some huge numbers last year?
Yeah, well, I think Sam Levitt gets a lot of the headlines, and for good reason, in the Big 12. But the under-the-radar guy that he mentioned that doesn't get enough love right now was Sawyer Robertson, and that he's got an opportunity this season to really play his way into not just a fringe draftable guy, but somebody that you're really looking at on maybe not first round, but day 2 kind of boards in next year's draft. For Jackson Arnold, we said this on the show. I think Baylor has the edge at quarterback, and it's a clear edge right now. I think how Sawyer Robertson played in the back half of the season versus what we've seen so far from Jackson Arnold and his turnover issues and fumble issues, to me, I don't think there's any question. I think this matchup is going to come down more to what Auburn has done in the portal and over the last couple of years of Q3s and building up their offensive and defensive line. I think it's overlooked. I think this is a top 15 or 20 roster just in terms of the big boys. And that's going to be, to me, where this game is won or lost. But for Baylor, look, I love, if I'm a Baylor fan, I love the position that they're in right now. You're a home underdog, and you've got so many key pieces that are coming back led by your quarterback. I think they're in a great spot to surprise people. And I said it earlier, I think this is the most important game this weekend for the Big 12. I think it's one of the top 3 most important non-conference games they have this season, because I think Auburn will end up being certainly above 500, but a pretty good team out of the SEC. And these are the kinds of games that the Big 12 needs if they're trying to push for getting beyond just one team in the playoff.
Taylor, what game outside of Texas and Ohio State are you most excited for this week?
Clemson LSU, just from the quarterback perspective. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik, you've got, everything that you want out of a college football game you're going to have here. And for LSU, I mean, we've seen them lay eggs the last couple of years in these week 1 matchups. They did it in the Superdome a couple of years ago. They did it in Vegas last year, blew that lead against USC. Can they go get one on the road against a really talented Clemson team that has, what some people think maybe the Heisman frontrunner, or certainly one of the Heisman hopefuls in Cade Klubnik? That to me is the one, other than the early game that you mentioned. And then also throw a little bit of an outlier out there, but for Monday night, I'm fascinated to see Bill Belichick as a head coach in college. I can't believe he did it. I can't believe he's in our sport. I'm so glad that he is. But there's 70 new faces on that North Carolina roster, and just for a pure entertainment, I don't care what happens in the game. I hope it's a good contest, but the entertainment value I think is incredible that Bill Belichick is in college football.
Yeah, no, it's wild, and it is a very fitting way to. College football doesn't always schedule, I think, the best all the time, but having this is like the nightcap to the first official weekend, I do think was well planned by the TV networks and whatnot. So, Taylor, this is kind of broad, but there's just so many quarterbacks and so many different games and matchups to talk about. Who are just a couple guys maybe that are getting too much love in your eyes or not enough love in your eyes? Just kind of set the table for us as quarterbacks that are sort of on top of mind for you, whether they're the most talked about or the lesser talked about. And just give us kind of, I guess, some insight on where your head is when it comes to the position and just some of the guys that catch your interest here as we get started.
Well, one that'll go under the radar because they're playing an FCS team on Thursday night, but it's where I'll be. I'm curious to see Connor Wegman coming from Texas A&M. He's going to be Houston's quarterback this season. They are extremely high on how he's performed this fall camp. I got a chance to spend some time around him this summer at the Manning camp. It seemed like a great kid, somebody that you would want to, have be your quarterback and play for. So I'm curious to see him in person. I think the other guy that I'm fascinated to see late Saturday night is Nico Iamaleava at UCLA. I think that he is quietly, with how big this Saturday is, that matchup against Utah has kind of gone under the radar a little bit, which is crazy because Utah, UCLA, standalone window in the late night slot, I think is one of the best games of the weekend. And for all that was made of him leaving Tennessee and Tennessee feeling like, not that they were okay with him leaving, but that they were going to be okay, I'm curious, how does he step in? And what does Utah look like trying to bounce back off of 5-7 a year ago? But those are two guys that I'm curious to see. There's so much good quarterback play that's going to be out there this weekend. This may be the best week one we've had as far back as I can remember. But I would say those are two guys that I'm really curious to see.
I had this last week, and we didn't get a chance to get to you. Get the question to you. Mountain View cross-country runner in the chat room. Will you please ask Taylor, will be the biggest challenge of BYU's quarterback, and now we know Bachmeier, to overcome learning the wide receiver routes, learning rushing with the offensive lineman, or being a rookie in college football?
Oh, I think anytime you have a true freshman quarterback, I think the biggest challenge is always protection. I think figuring out how to make sure that they know where defenders are coming from and getting rid of the football is the biggest challenge for freshman quarterbacks. And I think for Bear Bachmeier and any freshman quarterback that has ever played the game, you have to know when, if the play is blowing up and things are going crazy around you, to get rid of the football or take off. And that to me is always the marker of when you watch a freshman, how do they handle it? I think about Dylan Raiola at Nebraska a year ago, way too many times trying to make too much happen. Avery Johnson had the same issue late in the season for Kansas State. That to me is the number one thing that I look for. Do they get you beat? Because as a true freshman, even going all the way back to Colt McCoy when he played as a redshirt freshman, there were so many good players around him. And the best players, think about Trevor Lawrence also, the best freshman quarterback, they tend to have really good rosters around them. And you look at the end of the year and you realize maybe they didn't really ask them to do too much. I think that's where staffs and play callers get in trouble when they've got a young quarterback. It's overloading them. And the last thing I would say on Bachmeier is I think it's hilarious that he wears number 47.
Yeah.
Look, how are you in favor of quarterbacks going above 19? I am. I think it's great. Let's go Doug Flutie. Let's, I know Otto Graham back in the day wore 00. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm all for the crazy numbers.
Yeah, I am generally in favor of anything that's entertaining in college football. I mean, this is a sport. It's played by you guys are still kids in a lot of respects. I don't care what number they wear. It's not the NFL. You don't have it's kind of stringent rules around this. For the most part, as long as it's still entertaining and they're trying to play good football, I don't care what they do. So I'm all for it.
Hey, man, enjoy your broadcast. Axum Jacks against Houston, who I think that's obviously going to be too much for them to handle. But Colby Carthel's got a pretty good team back from last year, so that'll be fun. Houston, though, with Willie Fritz and company should roll. Thanks for your time, and enjoy the game on Saturday, too, and thanks for your time every week.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Enjoy week one.
Taylor McCarg, ESPN, CBS, 2 games, including Houston. Dart Stockbroker was trying to get me to bet something on that game, and I'm like, no. Why?
What, the Houston game?
Houston SFA. I'm like what the hell? I mean, I'll bet Houston's going to win.
I know that, Houston got teased by being called Cougar High, but they're not an actual high school.
No.
So that's who I would feel comfortable as SFA was
like,
playing.
okay,
Yeah.
hey, don't touch the Copperhead. Oh, no, I'm not going to bet that game. He said, well, use the spread. No, I don't. I'm not one of those guys anyway, but I know he wants to. He's a Houston grad, so good for him.
Yeah, I mean, was this intentional, Garrett, behind me? The U of H and the SFA next to each other? Did you do that?
I did. I was trying to lay up all the matchups that were going on this week with the helmets we have.
Yeah, Rhule and Baylor in a bowl game.
I couldn't get as many as we used to, but I have that one, Auburn, Baylor with the black helmet, and I have Hawaii headed to Arizona this week.
Were you told that we had a Texas State helmet now?
You told me we had one.
Paul, where is it?
I moved it this morning.
Okay. All right.
It's over there somewhere.
Yeah.
And it appears as if UTSA is going to send us a larger one. So we'll have that one in the background.
Yeah, because we've got the birds up over here on this part of the set. I'm looking forward to whatever happens with our new set, and maybe we can have a wall.
Kansas, Kansas.
Yeah, like my little shelves back here. You can't see them.
Yeah.
You can't see my Bret Hart figure and my cup from Brett Yormark and
over your shoulder. Yeah.
my little trinkets back here. So yeah, that would be nice in the next design to kind of fold that into the equation.
Kansas and Kansas State are supposed to be sending us something. Kansas State's been kind of busy, and KU had a game the opening week before most everybody else too. When we come back, Craig Smoak, and he will try to clarify what is going on with Ohio State and Texas, Big Noon Kickoff, Dave Portnoy, and all of that. We'll do that and more.
Or Dave Portnoy.
Oh, what did I say? Portnoy?
Yeah.
Portnoy. That and more, 365 Sports. Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store. And it is a great place. If you want to get product for any kind of tailgating, they have it. They have a butcher shop, but they also, for you, can get what you need. Here's what they have for example, tailgating this weekend. Pork bombs, $8.50 a pound. Chicken bombs, $8.50 a pound. They have bone-in pork chops for $3.15 a pound. Whole chickens, $1.40 a pound. Tri-tip, it's a great tailgate food at $6.89 a pound. Then all charcoal and pellet fuel, 10% off the normal price, 20% off. Day-old kolaches, they do bake, fresh baked bread and kolaches every day. And for the kolaches that are not bought, they will seal them in a package, put it in the freezer, have them available for you as you want. The Bauer family, a fantastic family and a history and tradition of what they do. Full-service butcher shop and bakery at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is Craig Smoak's Off the Radar, presented by Alliance Bank. They take pride in making banking easy. AllianceBankTexas.com.
Welcome back into 365 Sports Off the Radar. If you haven't, if you are one of those holdouts that hasn't hit the subscribe or like button, we'd appreciate it if you do that for the support of segments like this one and just the whole meal deal as we get underway here with the best time of year, college football, NFL season, the works. It is it's good to have some things to talk about as far as results go, but of course there's always some things going on off the field as well, and there's an intermingling of on and off the field as it pertains to this weekend's Ohio State Texas game and its broadcast, as we know that Fox is big in Columbus for the big matchup, and this was a story that came out last night from Front Office Sports. Ohio State's barring Dave Portnoy, who, for those, I mean, people watching this already know, but he was added to Fox's Big Noon Kickoff this offseason as basically their answer to McAfee, and so that had varying opinions when that news broke to begin with, but then you start thinking about, all right, well, imagine him in Columbus, and you knew that this first game, they were going to be there, and what was this going to look like for the big Michigan man and Dave Portnoy? So this story comes out that Ohio State was barring him from entering the stadium for the season opener against Texas, week 1 game, the Fox debut for Portnoy. Did he go to Michigan? He did. Okay, I thought so, but I wasn't sure because it says Michigan fan right there. But I think if you went there, then which I thought that he did,
I think he did.
You throw Grad in there as well.
I mean, he had this whole thing about Connor Stallions being a true Michigan man. So I think that might be kind of a lum talk there. But yeah, that's
alma mater, University of Michigan.
That's just basically trolling is all that really is. I think he knows it's going to get a reaction. I think it's clearly a part of an answer to McAfee. It's also very clearly a plea to try to get some younger viewers. Even though he's 48 years old, like that's one thing I've wondered about is 52-year-old Dave Portnoy going to be still acting like 25-year-old Dave Portnoy here in a couple of years or not? I don't know, but he's going to be on college campuses and raising some hell if this is any indication. So let's set the story straight on what's actually happening here, according to Ohio State. So the Front Office Sports story came out, and it said what it said about him being barred, but there's since been follow-up reporting on this from both Ross Dellinger over at Yahoo Sports, among others. So here is what was said by USA Today initially, and then by Ross Dellinger. Columbus Dispatch got it, so they had to mention that they were part of the USA Today network. Ohio State mentioned that Portnoy not joining the likes of former Buckeyes coach Urban Meyer and company inside the stadium is a decision made by Fox Sports and not the university. So this is Ohio State telling the Columbus Dispatch this news here. Saying, quote, Ohio State routinely holds planning meetings with media partners and provides input regarding broadcast setup, kickoff times, and other matters during planning meetings with Fox regarding Big Noon Kickoff's visit to campus this week. Fox representatives informed the department that the only talent who would be inside Ohio Stadium for the last hour of the show would be their main set/desk talent team. This group comprises their halftime and postgame shows as well. They informed us that David Portnoy is not part of their, in quotes, main desk crew. So this is after Ross Dellinger had also put out there that Ross Bjork, Ohio State AD, had said the university did not ban Portnoy from entering their stadium. The Big Ten also had a spokesperson come out and say to Dellinger and Yahoo Sports that from their understanding, the league's understanding from Fox, that Portnoy will not appear on the main desk inside any Big Ten stadium that the show travels to this year. So say what you want, but he's got the Big Ten, Yahoo Sports, USA Today, damn near every media outlet there possibly is, Ohio State, the university, like everybody commenting to set the record straight on here. Now, of course, he's not going to just take that. He's going to amp it up and weaponize it. And who knows, he may be right, because who am I to say that Ohio State didn't request this? But he's obviously playing like the BS, like, you know, it's about me. It's you guys banned me. Now you're trying to change the story, I think is kind of the angle that he's going for now. But that is the official on the record explanation by the folks at Fox. This is a Fox call, has nothing to do with him in Ohio State. He's just not part of the main broadcast crew that will be inside the stadium.
Look, I tweeted this out earlier. I mean, it's just part of my theory. If I was up against Lee Corso's last broadcast and needed maybe some more attention for people to wander over to my knockoff of that show in a game that's on my network, it's probably going to get the lower numbers that you're going to get all year because of Corso's last show. I might kick up some dust on a bit of a publicity stunt.
He just put this up on his Twitter feed. His mom sends him a text. I'm so confused that you must be too. Are you on Fox Saturday or not? No way I can root, she said, route for Ohio State. How is Pete's nose? Rivalries are confusing. That's from Portnoy's response on the text message from his mom. I keep seeing, though.
But you're also like, you said, chum in the water. I saw Will Compton last night was like, they just gave Pizza Boy like an infinite amount of fuel.
The Dave Portnoy saga shows Michigan still lives rent-free in Ohio State's head. Column in Dave Portnoy, all true with the laughing face. So he's already a multimillionaire and has a huge audience. And now this is only, like you said, just maybe giving him more of what he wants.
And I don't say this as like a criticism or anything, but I just don't buy anything that I see. So like my brain goes, that's probably him texting his buddy and he's renamed it Mom, just to throw fuel on the fire. It's kind of like the North Carolina realignment starts smoking. And you're like, oh, why did that story drop when it did? Oh, well, because they're joining a new website and it's a promotional tactic. And so this is probably part promotional tactic. If so, very effective, because there's a lot of people talking about Dave Portnoy being banned from Ohio State Stadium, and they're talking about that, at least in the last 24 hours, as much, if not more, than the Corso retirement. Now, I think when all comes to pass, everybody's going to probably watch College Game Day, especially towards the end. But they have, at minimum, kicked up a good amount of PR for Big Noon Kickoff and for Portnoy's edition on that show, and I'll check it out. I mean, I'll have time to actually watch the morning shows now, and so I'm curious to see Game Day moving forward post Corso, even though we've gotten glimpses of that, but officially moving forward from that, and then what Big Noon's done to try to spice things up, even though they are very heavy Big Ten, obviously, it's almost the official Big Ten pregame show. I guess it is in so many ways, but that's fine. That's where their money is. So I'm interested in the dynamic and kind of the and I wanted to ask Chris Fallica this, but I just didn't find the place to do it. There's like a real legit like little budding rivalry. I mean, between just the personalities, not that they don't get along, but Fox is going all in on this thing. They're trying to take over Game Day. That's been very clear, and Game Day is not going to want to relinquish its hold.
No.
I mean, ESPN's made more $1 million moves in the last week than they made in the previous 10 years.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting to see. I think it's rising tide lifts all boats. I think these pregame shows are going to make each other better ultimately.
I haven't had a chance to really watch them of late. I don't know if it's not because there are some features that I like, but I don't get to watch it because we've been doing pregames for so long, and now this year we're not. So I might be able to do that. By the way, Connor Stallions, I know what we don't. He tweets to Stool Presidente, which is Portnoy. You need tickets?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, it's I do. I think this is all about, and of course, I'm sure when Fox found out, the powers that be at Fox found out that Corso was going up there too, they were like, well, damn it. This is Texas and Ohio State. The game's on our air. We should own this game. And then they're going up there for Corso's last one.
Sure.
So it's all these little things in this ratings battle, which again, after this week, you can kind of start off on equal ground because you'll more than likely be at different places, and Corso will be officially retired, as of Saturday at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't think
whose
Corso.
fault this is? It's Florida State's fault because they aren't worth a damn because the Alabama-Florida State game would have had.
Should have been there
Yeah,
regardless,
yeah.
but
Gosh, what was I going to say?
Sorry.
Yeah, I lost it. Okay. But yeah, that's a game that probably should have been Corso's last, but I guess FSU doesn't have the draw. So anyways, think that it's going to be a fun little back and forth between those two. Connor Stallions is a lame. I'm sorry. I'm never going to – that's funny, but it's almost too on the nose that he's jabbing and having fun. That kind of pisses me off a little bit in a way. And I know everything was on the up and up and whatnot, not trying to relitigate all that, but I think he's a weirdo. I'm sorry. I just think he's a total weirdo, and I hate the spotlight that's being shown on him in such a positive light.
I get it.
So there you go. There's the truth, whether you want to believe it or not, at least according to Ohio State, on the Dave Portnoy ban or lack thereof. He was never scheduled to be a part of that main crew. He doesn't buy that. I think a lot of people probably don't buy that either, but that is the story that they are sticking to. There's been a couple of other stories, just kind of random things that have come down over the last few minutes. And one of those being, this would normally be a part of the headlines, but Josh Heupel's got a new contract.
Saw that.
Josh Heupel, future Oklahoma Sooners head coach? No. Well, if he is going to be, it's going to be much more expensive as he has signed a new deal with Tennessee, a contract extension that will keep him in writing at least with the Vols through 2030, January of 2030, as they are saying in the press releases and whatnot that he's spurned the revival of Tennessee football. I think that's accurate, and so he's getting a new deal through 2030. But there's a reaction to that in Norman, Oklahoma today as well, I am sure, because of the ties there. Meanwhile, I don't know if we really have time for that, but okay. This is off the radar. Colorado's Ralphie the Sixth is retiring just before the season starts after 4 seasons. Ralphie the Sixth will be retiring from service in the role, the university announced today. The school made the move, according to USA Today, due to what it described as, quote, an indifference to running typical of many mammals, both four-legged and two-legged. And so because of that, they will basically be taking Ember, which is the actual name of the buffalo, to a ranch where it will be like a companion buffalo and basically go to retirement.
He's
for
about
buffaloes.
to go get some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a girl, so that would be hard for him to do.
She's about to get some.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. But yeah, Ralphie is being retired. And so that's just coming down, and I just loved the way that it was phrased. An indifference to running typical of many mammals, both four-legged and two-legged.
Yeah. I have an indifference to running after loving it for a long, long time. I can see that. That's sad. That's sad. It's being put out to pasture.
I do love that a buffalo can just kind of give you guys, I'm sick of
it. Yeah, I'm just done with this.
I'm done.
But right as the season starts, man, come on.
I know that's a bummer for them. I mean, they got to get a whole new buffalo and make sure that, it doesn't.
Well, there's actually follow-up reporting on that. There's been a succession plan for a number of months, but there's not any new information or details on Ralphie 7, nor is there any timetable for Ralphie 7's debut. So there will not be a Buffalo running the field when they play Georgia Tech to open up the season. They've had a live Buffalo mascot, for what it's worth, since Ralphie won in 1967. So we're all the way up to now getting ready to introduce, at some point to be determined, but not week number 1, Ralphie 7.
This sounds like a contract issue more than anything.
Is Ralphie 7 holding out?
He wants more NIL.
Yeah.
The animals that are mascots that are live. Of course, Baylor used to have a bear. Now they haven't, but that means
LSU and a
Ralphie,
tiger.
the tiger. Was it Mike the Tiger, Garrett?
Yeah.
And then you, of course, have Bevo, who's a badass whenever they change out Bevo, but almost killed the dog at that bowl game that they had.
Reveille,
yeah. Well, Revelle's a sweet little,
Yeah,
it's
a collie.
Yeah.
Bevo has this, like, of course, I mean, it's all cows, but this cold, dead stare that I don't think you completely understand until you go stand next to it.
It's a cold, dead stare of capitalism.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just like I remember when the first time I went to a Texas OU game, I was down on the field with my buddy Adam Winkler, helping him shoot his stand-ups for the news that night. And Bevo, like, everybody wanted Bevo in the shot. So we're kind of like waiting in line, like you do yours and then I'll do mine. And so I'm sitting there, and it was the first time I'd ever been like really, really, really close to Bevo. And there was just this like dead stare in it that I'm like, you know what? This is kind of intimidating in a strange way. Like, it's just just a sociopathic, like there's nothing back there look of a mascot.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
I think maybe that's just the way Longhorns are. I don't know. The only one I've really ever seen, there was one of the last times Texas played across the street, somebody at a farm around here had like walked its Longhorn through like the pre-games and whatnot, which is pretty wild to see. But those damn things,
those horns,
they can be dangerous for sure. But yeah, Bevo, I think, is just so just used to chilling and just going with the flow of things, and sometimes it's not. And when it's not, you gotta watch out for it. Yeah. But yeah, that Uga situation from a few years back, thankfully that worked out a lot better than it could have if those horns would have found a different spot to land. But there is just a little kind of quirky note there. And then finally, a lot of NFL rosters being trimmed down because it's time to get down to the 53-man rosters, and it's impossible. And not really. We don't really have a reason to go through all of the highlights of the various NFL cuts because there's just so many guys that are now free agents. But one of the names that did jump out immediately, Deuce Vaughn, released by the Cowboys. Did see his name pop up earlier today. Former K-State star. Don't know what's next for him, but obviously beloved in Manhattan and elsewhere. And so we'll see what maybe he ends up in the UFL or on a practice squad somewhere, or maybe back at Kansas State in some capacity. But they gave it a go, Paul. He was, I mean, for as much as people said he's small, like when you finally saw him on the field with NFL players, like average NFL players, you're like, oh, damn. Like, I underestimated, because in college it still kind of worked. But then you see it in the pros and it's like, whoa, buddy.
So not this year, but the year before, when we were at Big 12 Pro Day, he did a workout with Cowboy fans and had them meet him on the turf there outside of the Star. And there was a group next to us, and I was like, oh, hey, cool. Deuce Vaughn's out there doing a workout. And they're like, which one is he? I'm like, that one. That's him. He's right there. And they're like, he's so little. I'm like, yeah, dude.
No.
He looks little next to regular sized people these are just Cowboy fans in the area that wanted to come do a little CrossFit workout with Deuce Vaughn on a Wednesday. That was all that was. And then here, he looks, small. I mean, he's in fantastic shape, but I hope UFL Canada, if he wants to keep playing, or, his dad's a scout. So like he's probably got a little bit of that interest, you would think.
Deuce, I don't know him personally, but I have known plenty of people who have come across him. I think I might've met him once before. But very impressive and just seems like a great dude. So I think he'll be fine in whatever is next for him. He's young enough to where will he try to play some more? Probably, but we'll see what's next. He's just one of hundreds of names that are suddenly looking for jobs today. And among the Cowboys, Lyle Collins cut today. You had as well Will Greer, former West Virginia quarterback, cut by the Mountaineers.
He'll be back.
You think he'll be back?
Yeah, they're going to sneak him through.
Well, yeah, some of these guys are going to end up back around on practice squads, but I mean, the Cowboys released like 25 guys, and pretty much every team is having theirs trickle out to some degree. But as I say with this exercise every year, it's just always interesting to look through from a college football brain and see all the names that stand out. Like, for example, I don't have to look far. There's little Jordan Humphrey, cut by the New York Giants. There's Sam Hartman, cut by the Washington Commanders. There's Kyle McCord, cut by the Philadelphia Eagles. And we could do this game all day long, but definitely saw Deuce Vaughn pop out. Any names that you saw come across the wire that were of any interest? The Deuce Vaughn one,
because they're the K-State fans, obviously, in the chat whenever we discuss the Cowboys struggling, well, they need to give Deuce Vaughn more carries, and that's now going to be impossible.
I'll tell you one on the other side that made it through. Craig, I don't know if you were going to go through that, but Tyquan Thornton made the roster of the Kansas City Chiefs.
I saw him catch a big long one, a kind of over tough grab, and he made the catch.
But apparently also, I mean, he's kind of what they like is just fast guys that go, but his special teams play has raised the level.
Well, more from what I read along the lines of they're going to have to find a role for him to play special teams because he is going to when they talked to him before, talked about him before, it was a matter of Andy Reid, and I think the coaches want him on the team. But when you're cutting down to 53, you can't have a fourth-string wide receiver that does nothing else.
No. Yeah.
So they were talking to the special teams coach, and the special teams coach basically tipped off that Tyquan was going to make the team because he was saying, well, I got to find a role for him. I got to find a role. I don't know what that's going to be, if it's going to be like this or that, but he's obviously not going to be like a gunner, like a blocker, or he's not going to be able to do that. And I would hate to see him running full speed downfield and meet a wall of a defender because I'm afraid he would shatter into 1,000 pieces as slight of frame as he is. But he did make the team. He had the big catch the other night you mentioned. That's great for him. And so, they're going to have to just find a solid role on special teams, which I assume they have if they are officially keeping him. But just a ton of names coming down from the NFL cuts earlier today, and those continue to trickle out. But it's a never-ending list, and that's a sure sign that NFL regular season is right around the corner. And I'll close with the fact that one of the announcements coming out of these releases was also depth chart news. And one of the most interesting depth chart situations in the NFL, of course, is in Cleveland, Ohio, where they have a group of backup quarterbacks like Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders battling to see who's going to play first behind Joe Flacco. And the official Browns depth chart came out. Dylan Gabriel will be the QB2 behind Joe Flacco. Shedeur Sanders will be third string. So that is the official depth chart for the Cleveland Browns.
You know, they kept saying they were going to keep 4 quarterbacks, and they traded Kenny Pickett to the Raiders yesterday, which he never even played a regular season game for the Browns, and they got a draft pick out of it. So got to say, Andrew Berry, shrewd move there to get something out of a guy who only played for you in the preseason. But they I didn't think they were ever going to cut Shedeur. I know there's a lot of drama around Shedeur, and they're not putting him in with the best players on the roster and all that. I think that a lot of that's created because people want to talk about Shedeur. It's kind of clickbaity stuff.
No one's going to not play somebody because they want him to fail. They drafted him no matter when it was. They're not going to I see all that. That's just nuts.
But it's conspiracy theories to fit your narrative.
And God knows he might end up, getting.
But what I'll tell you is that right now, and I thought this at the draft, if I was going to say who's a better quarterback today over all their skill set, who's had more success, Dylan Gabriel is better than Shedeur Sanders.
He had a better college career than Shedeur Sanders.
He's better today than Shedeur Sanders is.
7 schools.
That's all that matters. Like when it comes to it, he's just better right now.
And I was
Shedeur
happy.
has plenty of time.
I was happy when he made that start and played well in the first game. No coach, high school or what, is not going to not play somebody If it can help them win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never understood that.
But yeah, they had to keep 4 because they can't get rid of Deshaun Watson. So he's on the roster. He's going to be on the roster. They just can't get rid of him until after the year because of the very stupid contract they gave Captain Tugmeoff.
Only the Cleveland Browns. And I caught that, but I'm just moving forward anyways. Sex pest, Deshaun Watson. But yeah, so there you go. Shedeur Sanders, third string behind Dylan Gabriel and the starter there in Joe Flacco. And then some dude named Travis Kelce got engaged to some girl named Taylor Swift. I don't know. Some people were talking about it. Something earlier today. Whatever.
I'm just so happy for Taylor.
You and millions of others.
She's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Joe did not treat her well.
Oh, we heard the whole album dedicated to the mistreatment. Yeah.
Neither did the werewolf from Twilight or the Jake Gyllenhaal or Loki.
Can you imagine the when his brother gives him the ring, if he can make sure he doesn't drop it or whatever? So your sister sends this text or whatever it is, Instagram, whatever, and with exclamation points, she is on cloud 9.
She's not even a Taylor Swift fan.
Well, she sent that. Let me ask her.
Well, her friends, I know her friends are Swifties. Like some of them are Swifties, but I don't recall her ever being a Swiftie. Like I don't doubt. I mean, I like some of her music. I'm not rolling around listening to it all the time like Paul is, but I do like some of her stuff. I'm not like anti in any way. But I don't recall her ever being like super pro Taylor Swift. So we'll see if she's turned into a Swiftie herself, and I just haven't realized it.
I am a much bigger fan of Taylor, the industry, than I am of I think she seems to be a good person for somebody who's the most famous person in the world, and pretty normal for that. Like there's.
For that level of celebrity, sure.
For that, compare her to Mariah Carey, who's batshit crazy. Like she's not. Like she's got her stuff together. And
how about Britney Spears instead?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that.
Be careful. These entertainers can go south quickly.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know. But I think. I mean, she's had a plan. Like the thing she did to get her masters back. All her recordings was. I just thought brilliant. And
Britney Spears?
No, Taylor Swift basically said, if you're not going to sell me my masters back, I'm going to record all new songs. And then I'm going to tell my fans to download these and not those. And then it, basically got them back.
Well, and then you went and bought the new one. So she just sold everybody second recordings of her other stuff and still has the first one. So you've all bought both of her versions. And now she's going to sell you them again 10 times over for the next 20 years.
I respect the hustle.
I mean, it was a great hustle, and it probably wasn't fully planned out that way, but it was just kind of weird that you re-recorded all this. And then as soon as you're done or practically done, it's like, oh, now you got the originals again. Like what?
She talked about it on the podcast, which I did watch in its entirety.
I'm sure
last week. She talked
about
it.
You and 50 million other people. Yeah.
So she talked about it. It was really interesting that she always wanted them, and then she got to that point where she basically got pushed when she did the Taylor's version, she got pushed to the end of the line, and she just couldn't do it anymore. And then because of that, the company that had them sold them to another private equity company, and that company decided hey. Let's go ahead and make this deal because, there's no use in us holding on to it now.
I just went to what was apparently I don't think she's on Twitter, but 93.6 million followers.
Yes, she is.
Her.
Holy crap.
I mean, it's probably not her.
It's Taylor Swift 13. Okay.
Yeah, that's her. And I don't know. Instagram doesn't show likes anymore, right? Do they not show or I guess you can choose the option if you want to see the total number. So I don't know what that total number of likes is on the engagement photo, but we've seen her plenty. We didn't see her at a Cincinnati Bearcats game this fall. What are we doing here? I know he's got a season to play, but we need to see her and the whole Kelce crew at representing the Bearcats, like the way they do the Kansas City Chiefs.
Kelce's brothers cracks me the hell up. Okay, for example, you say likes on August 25th, 3:01 p.m., 6.4 million views on something to do with, Showgirls or whatever, Tiny Bubbles, and 164,000 likes. So, no, it's still there, I guess. All right. Anything else?
What do you mean you guess?
What? I guess. No, yeah. No, the the whatever.
No,
that
I'm talking
is.
about on Instagram.
Oh, I don't even do
There
it.
is a
I have
format where you don't see the number of likes, is what I was saying.
okay.
And so I don't have it set up to where I saw the number of likes, but I would imagine that it's probably somewhere in like the millions at this point.
No doubt.
From when they made that announcement. So congrats to the happy couple. There's several things off the radar.
Thank you. By the way, Tyquan Thornton had 8 kick returns while he was at Baylor. His longest return was 27 yards. So he has done that before, which, my God, I was probably covering my eyes, especially his senior year. He had a couple of those returns. Now, we don't have the tweet of it, but this came down earlier. We were going to get to that in the headlines, but we had the early guest with Matt Rhule. Alabama and West Virginia have canceled home-and-home games in 26 and 27. First reported by Mike Casasa, who covers West Virginia. With SEC's move to 9 league games, this is from Brett McMurphy, games like West Virginia, Alabama are probably going to be a thing. And oh, by the way, West Virginia allowed Alabama out of the series and did not require a buyout. So there we are with that. So I hate that. I hate games like that not being played, but that might be the trend because of the SEC adding yet their 9th SEC
Well,
game.
I mean, I think not requiring.
And by the way, good for them. I wasn't around when that happened last week. That was good for them.
But not requiring a buyout.
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, like, is more of a political thing than anything from conference to conference as they all jockey for position in this playoff of like, well, why would we want to do this anymore or schedule these games if we've got all this bad blood because of it? So maybe it's a good move. Hopefully they play sometime in the future, but
well, as you said, I mean, West Virginia doesn't seem to care. They're not asking for any money as part of the cancellation, the arrangement, and they've already announced the replacement opponent. So clearly they knew this was coming as they're going to play. Where did I see that earlier?
Coastal next year and Southern Miss the year after that.
So Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss. So I mean, they already announced that when this news broke. So they were already well aware this was happening, not out of the blue in the slightest. And it's a shame. I think it really sucks if you were hoping to see Alabama play in Morgantown next year, and now will they ever play in Morgantown ever again?
Well,
I mean, will they ever? I don't know that they will. So that kind of sucks, but I guess it's understandable and would have been a great opportunity for West Virginia. But with the SEC doing what they did, as y'all mentioned, it's going to create some cancellations and it's going to force some cancellations. And so we'll see what else gets thrown to the wayside. But yeah, that kind of sucks.
Alabama's non-conference schedule next year includes Florida State, East Carolina, USF, 27, Ohio State, with nobody else listed yet. And in 28, Ohio State. Oklahoma State is another one of them. And then also Tennessee, Martin.
Yeah, but what's West Virginia's future schedule?
Oh, I thought you were just giving me that.
No, I'm saying you're reading off Alabama's. I don't really worry about who they're going to play because I think they're going to play some good
somebody
teams.
had said that, okay, there they are. They have Ohio State and et cetera on their future schedule. So they have some pretty good games. Yeah. You guys already mentioned who West Virginia's replacing it with. Yeah. They do play Virginia next year as a non-conference game.
They'll play
Coastal, UT Martin, and Virginia.
I mean, they get that 2027 schedule's bleh. Southern Miss, VMI, and Ohio is not very sexy, but you get Tennessee in 28.
A neutral game against Tennessee in 28.
And Pitt is going to basically, I mean, really what it's boiling down to is Pitt's going to be like your marquee non-con game for –
well, but they don't play them again until 29.
Well, I was getting ready to finish what I was saying from like 29 through like early 2030s is what I was getting at. Was that's going to be your marquee non-con opponent. But yeah, they play Pitt the next couple or this year, and then they'll get Virginia, and then it's a year where it's just not going to be very good, and then you get Tennessee, and then a run of Pitt. So they don't have any really holes in their schedule outside of 27. It's just going to be one of those where. I mean, with the expanded playoff, it might not matter, but your non-con could come back to hurt you in 27, but they'll worry about that bridge when they cross it. We'll see where everybody is in 2027 at that point. But, yeah, that would have been cool, but I guess it makes sense for all parties, so we move forward.
Well, we did not bring up Texas Tech's horse as part of the animals.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, Big Lubbock, Texas Tech introduced the first horse rider mascot in college football before USC or the Seminoles.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah, should have included Tech into that mix as well of the live animal mascots. Some of them obviously too dangerous nowadays, like live bears, to have in a cage on the sideline. But yeah, there's a lot of them out there once you start kind of rolling down the list: horses, dogs, big cats, birds.
Yeah. Eagles.
Alabama going to roll
Eagles,
an elephant out there one day? No,
That
probably not.
Awesome.
But it would be pretty freaking incredible.
That would be awesome. I want an elephant so bad.
I think elephants are cool
you
as
do?
hell.
I do. I love elephants. I want, like, they have, like, they actually, when they're around humans, they, get really attached. I would love to have an elephant.
No, I think elephants are cool as hell. By the way, Stormy Cyclone, we had a shorter version of our headlines. He goes, I guess you guys did not see my chat 2 hours ago about the cancellation. No, we saw it. We've known about it. We just didn't get to it in the shortened headlines, and that's why we brought it up when we had time to do so.
Yeah, appreciate the heads up, but we had a run of guests there for a while, so couldn't get around to it till just now. But yeah, thanks as always for watching and being around and pushing some stuff our way. Just can't always get to it right away sometimes.
Well, we always like when we get something about the military. G. Joyner, Smokey, Paul, and Craig, Captain Flaherty, who stood at 4'9". It was known as the Giant Killer during his service as a Green Beret and a Vietnam War hero. That's back when we were discussing Deuce Vaughn and his height, 4'9", and was a bad mofo. Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody. When we come back, Hall of Famer John McClain as NFL teams, as Craig mentioned, with a lot of cuts, and McLaurin signed, Hendrickson signed, yet Micah Parsons. It's just a matter of when they're going to get together and laugh and say we love each other. This was just part of business, which it is with whatever happens with them. This is 365 Sports. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco, in between Valley Mills and Richland Drive in Waco. 48-foot walk-in humidor, Macanudo, Ashton, Romeo, Julieta, Artur Fuente, and yes, Padron, Cohiba, and many more. And they have a wall. When you walk into the humidor off to the right, there's a wall of Texas and military-owned cigar companies. And you can buy those as you want. And some of them are really good. Some of them are a little bit too much for me when they're a little bit harsh for what I like, but God bless trying to give back by buying their cigars if we can. They highlight them off to the right-hand side. Vita Dreams, it's a gummy. You can chew 1, 2, or how many you do. It allows you to fall asleep at night. I did have a couple of nights ago. Maybe it was Saturday night. I'm like, man, I can't get to sleep. And sure enough, I had not had a gummy. And that is just sometimes a mistake I make. It can help you fall asleep without making you feel like along the way that you have been drugged. It really does work to calm you down. And, of course, for bad days, it's a THC gummy for those who have chronic pain. Some of you in the chat room, we've talked about your back pain or this and that. You could use a little bit of that. Great people, Cheyenne and also Joshua, Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Townwest Shopping Center between Valley Mills, Richland Drive in Waco.
At Sturdy Steel, we build more than grandstands and press boxes. We build the spaces where communities come together. Based in Texas and serving communities nationwide, we're proud of our reputation for dependable, high-quality work and strong client relationships that stand the test of time. From concept to installation, our team of skilled drafters, welders, and installers takes pride in delivering seating solutions designed to last. With a focus on dependability, transparency, and service, we are here to make the unique needs of architects, contractors, schools, and venues across the country. We ensure every project is seamless, sturdy, and ready for generations of fans to enjoy. That's Sturdy Steel.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Penny Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Penny Clinic Waco and reach out to the Penny Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pennycliniclowt.com.
This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Hall of Fame columnist John McClain most every Tuesdays in the 5 o'clock hour, and today it's 5:30, and he joins us on 365 Sports. John, it's cut day. How much are there any mind games when you go make cuts with players or with other teams looking at what you're cutting? You can't really afford to do that, can you?
No, and let me be honest about something, guys. This week, I don't give a damn about cuts. I don't care about the NFL. There's only one game I care about, and it's not UT and the Ohio State. It's those fighting Baylor Bears pulling an upset over Auburn and what, to me, and I've been going to Baylor home games since 1960 when I was a Cub Scout, and I can't remember more of a buzz, maybe you guys, because you go to all of them, that there is. Down here, there's so much interest. People are talking about Baylor and Texas. And so I can't wait to be in front of my big screen TV watching them be off. Back to the cuts. The cuts are way overrated. You see all this hand wringing. Oh, my God, they're cutting to 53. Well, because you can re-sign 16 of your players if you so choose, if they don't get claimed on waivers, and most do not, because teams would rather have their players because they've been through the off season with them, put them on the practice squad. You can now put veterans on the practice squad. So the cut is not nearly as important as it used to be when there was no practice squad, or originally there was 6 on the practice squad.
John, everybody else has got their deals done except for Jerry and Micah Parsons. Does that surprise you?
Well, first of all, we knew McLaurin was going to sign. We knew Hendrickson was going to sign. I think we all believe Parsons will sign. I thought he made an absolute fool out of himself during their last preseason game, lying on the table, acting like he's taking a nap, being disinterested. I thought that was a bad look. You know, everybody's been on his side. Used to, when players would hold out, there was no such thing as a hold in. People always blasting the players. Media would blast the players. You're under contract. How could you? Now fans and media are a lot smarter. They know teams will cut players at the drop of a hat, and a player should be able to do anything he can to get what he believes he's worth. He might get it, he might not get it. But the way these usually work out is that the team's been on a number and the player's been on a number. Of course, guarantees figure into it, number of years. And then right at the last minute, that could be this week, that could be next week, the team comes down and the team comes up, players come down, and they get it done. They know if Parsons has to play in the last year of his contract, probably half the season he's going to be acting like he's taking a nap on a table on the sideline.
John, I mean, you just kind of answered part of my question here about Terry McLaurin, but I was thrilled to see him sign. I expected him to, but you just, it drags out, sides say what they say, and you just sort of wonder, but it was just so obvious what an important, massive piece he is in Washington, even though he's starting to get up there and get a little older. Your thoughts on just the Commanders answering that big question mark that was there with McLaurin just not in the fold officially? And what do you think about him paired up with Deebo Samuel and coming off the year they had last year? Do you have higher expectations? Just sort of where's your head at with the Commanders at the moment?
I think they came out of nowhere. I do not have higher expectations. I expect them to take a step back, although history tells us somebody's going to win the NFC East, and it's not going to be Philadelphia. Does that mean Dallas? Does that mean the Giants? You'd think it would mean Washington. The thing about McLaurin, you generally don't get extensions for a lot of money when you're 30 years old. And he turns 30 next month. But they know what kind of shape he's in. They know what kind of player he is, the way he stays physically fit, mentally fit. He fits so well with Jaden Daniels. I'm glad they did. T.J. Watt got a great extension from Pittsburgh. And the problem is, when you have a guy like Micah Parsons, all of them want to be the highest paid. And you got to figure the agent in it. Now, Jerry Jones doesn't talk to David Mulligetta, but most of the time, agents are negotiating for the future. They want to be able to tell potential clients, I got my guy, the highest paid non-quarterback in history, because it looks good. And if they don't, their opponents are going to say, hey, he couldn't even get Micah Parsons to be the highest paid in history. But I think enough know what's going on behind the scenes in those negotiations. And I still don't understand the union why it has not filed a grievance against Jerry Jones, because he's in violation of the collective bargaining agreement by bypassing the agent. But the union is in shambles right now, and I guess afraid to do anything. But Micah Parsons is paying dues, and dues are more expensive in NFLPA than any other union, and he's certainly not getting his money's worth from the union that ought to be involved in this to help them get it settled.
I thought I saw a former player, it was a pretty big name, who actually is suggesting that the NFLPA get off their ass and do that with
Darrell Revis.
Yeah, okay.
Darrell Revis. He wants to be the head of the union, as does Matt Schaub. The last time, former players didn't even make the semifinals. And you'd think they'd want somebody in that position like Gene Upshaw, longtime player, who knew what was going on, but they've taken these other people. DeMaurice Smith did a good job, not a great one, but this last guy was a sham.
Yeah.
And the Darrell Revis wants that job, and he's come out publicly very strong about it. Matt Shaw did not in this situation, but it's a fact. Jerry Jones is in violation of the CBA.
Because he's not talking to the agent. This one's so it's just so weird, John. I can't understand why he just doesn't pick up the phone, or why he's decided to just live up there on this hill. It makes no sense, and it's never been like this before. It's always been the deadlines make deals thing. It's never been like Mike and I talked, and then now we have a deal. Like that, it feels like he might be losing it a little bit.
Well, don't overlook Stephen Jones' involvement.
Oh,
Stephen can tell his dad anything. Jerry gets all the blame up there for every decision, but I've been told by several people that Stephen is heavily involved in the decision-making process, and he's happy to tell his dad when he thinks he's screwing up. And you'd think Stephen would have told him a while ago, Dad, let me talk to the agent, and then you can close the deal. But obviously, Stephen feels the same way. And until the league and the union do something about it, Jerry's going to continue to operate that way, which goes against the grain of everything about the collective bargaining agreement negotiations for players. I still believe, though, they'll get it done, that when they decide to compromise, then they'll call David Mulligetta and tell him, all right, let's get this done. Mulligetta looked like he swept in at the last minute and got it done, and they'll let Jerry take a couple of victory laps and then move on for the season. But I feel bad for Brian Schottenheimer. He's waited so long to be a head coach, and this is a constant distraction for him. Number one, I feel sorry for him. Number two, I feel sorry for all of you guys that cover the Cowboys and have to talk about this all the time.
You know, I'm watching the Netflix series, which not a lot of it is something I did not know already, or even sometimes was around when things were going on back in the day when the Cowboys and Jerry bought him. But the part where and about the sponsorships and, you know, going with Nike and flaunting that, and the owners were so pissed off at him and they wanted to basically put him under, is that he's just so powerful that that nothing's going to happen?
No, going back to the sponsorships, he knew that the most important thing to owners in any sport is money.
Yep.
And he showed them how their deal making was antiquated. And he showed them this is how you can do it. And that's why Jerry got in the Hall of Fame. Of course, his team won 3 Super Bowls, but also he stepped in, made them a lot more money. They started putting him on all committees, and he helped them make more money. And they do it. And so that's how he became one of the most powerful owners. But in this situation, it's not the owners. It's the union has to file agreement. There's a certain time period. It has to be looked at by an independent arbitrator. Now, maybe by then it'll all be over. But he just flaunts it. It's amazing what he's getting away with right now. And everybody knows he's doing it.
Yeah, that was fascinating. And the story where he walked out of the owners' meeting because they said they could. This is back in the 90s, because he couldn't be there. They were going to vote on something, and because of his situation, he couldn't vote. And he said that he turned around to all of them and said, "Yeah, you guys might take this from me, but if you lose, I'm going to take every blanking penny of that $700 million." And it was kind of a pretty intense moment at that time.
Well, that sounds like something Jerry Jones would do, because that's how he got the way he was, deal making. And when
John McClain with his Hall of Fame.
You imagine,
go ahead.
I bet when he walked out the door, he was like sweating like crazy and going,
"Yeah,
I can't believe I said that."
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see or hear about the part where after the Jerry or Jimmy thing went down, he went home, was getting into bed, and his wife, Jean, was staring at the ceiling. And as he got into bed, she said, "You just can't help yourself. You just cannot allow good to be good. You cannot help yourself." She was furious with him.
I bet she was, because he's drunker as skunk. I saw it. I was there. I saw Jimmy Johnson in an interview yesterday talking about that night. We were at Universal Studios. They had turned it over to us. The streets were lined with food and booze and acts and everything. And Jimmy was at his table with his coaches, and he said he was talking to Dave Weinstein. And Jerry walked up, and I can't remember if he proposed a toast or something. So they did it, and then Jerry went back to the conversation with Ronstadt. I mean, Jimmy did, and Jerry said something, and Jimmy's like, what the bleep is up with him? And none of them knew it. Jimmy said, I went back. He said, I went back, I got fed that night, and I'm watching the TV, and all of a sudden I see the story where Jerry had gone into the lounge, and he had told two reporters that were there from Dallas about getting any one of 500 coaches to coach the team. And they're like, did he say that off the record? I said, he didn't say off the record. So they agreed they were going to run it, and it's one of the biggest stories ever.
It was Rick Gosselin and Ed Werder.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And Ed Werder, yeah.
I had beers with Ed one time in Oxnard, and he told me how it went down. It's just like Jerry stumbled out and started saying it to him, and he was like, okay.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, Johnny, you brought up the game on Friday, Auburn and Baylor. I've been here since 10, Paul well before that, and Craig, I think around 2013. They had what was going to be kind of fun non-conference games with BYU and Utah, and both times the year before each one of them joined the conference. You were around a long time ago, and even when Grant Taft, he would play huge opponents at the old Floyd Casey Stadium. Whoever it was, he was not afraid to play anybody. We think this Auburn game is the biggest. I'm not saying is the biggest opponent for Baylor in a non-conference game, and we can't remember when.
I agree. I remember when they played USC and Steve Young was there and Baylor beat them. That was an incredible game, an incredible story. And that's one reason everybody liked him as much as they did, was Grant didn't back down from anybody. He thought it was great for the program in Waco. Now, obviously, this one is too, and I can't wait because I can't wait for the country to see Sawyer Robertson in a great year for quarterback. I think he's going to surprise everybody if he stays healthy.
Yeah, I hope he has a big game, but obviously I hope it's just a great atmosphere. It should be night game Friday night. Starts out, it'll be daylight, but eventually kick off into the night as well. John, thank you very much.
Guys, thank you very much. Second Bear.
There we go. John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist of course, forever originally from right here in the Waco area. All right, Paul Catalina and the top 5 around the corner. Did you see this note? Would have been a great off the radar. Auburn announces dude wipes.
Big fan of dude wipes. They do good work.
What?
Announce what with dude wipes?
An NIL partnership, I think, with Jackson Arnold, partnered with Auburn Athletics, and partnered Rolling Tumors Corner with creative campaign that says, dare say, TP is for the trees. Dude wipes will encourage Auburn fans to not be shy about tossing toilet paper into Tumors Corner.
And use their flushable wipes, dude wipes. We are also available for sponsorships.
Yeah, I don't see how those are really easy to clean up,
No.
much compared to, I guess the toilet paper isn't either. But yeah, they I guess, have a new partnership. And
I think their thing they're going for is like the cows with Chick-fil-A, like eat more chicken. So they want you to use dude wipes instead of regular rolled up toilet paper.
But it's not rolled, so how are you going to throw?
No, they don't want you to throw the dude wipes. They want you to throw the toilet paper in the trees so that you use dude wipes.
I see.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Boy, very clear cut that that promotion messaging.
That got
okay,
way
now
more,
I got it. All right, makes sense.
Pat Smith, our buddy, is the one that had that from earlier in the day. All right, Paul Catalina and his top 5 just around the corner, along with Andrew Valade and his poll results. Marco's Pizza. Hold on just a second. I was having a pregnant pause there as my age got ahead of me. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. The fastest growing pizza brand in America. 5 locations in Waco, and it wasn't long ago there were none. Bob Mock is the owner of all 5 of those stores. Marco's Pizza. You go online, marcos.com, and find all sorts of amazing specials day in and day out, whether it's pickup, delivery, or more, whether it's pizzas with all sorts of ingredients just flooding on the pie, on the crust, and of course the cheese too, or sandwiches and more, wings. They have it. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. And if you've ever said to yourself, gosh, I want to look like that big old biscuit baby right there, go to flagandanthem.com. Use our promo code 365sports. They're always running specials. They've got some great looking gear like this shirt right here. Today, we're going to go key defensive questions for the big games this week. And yes, the first one is about Alabama and FSU. May not be a big game to you, but it's a big game to me. And this is the only one of this series of two of defensive and offensive that we will discuss this game. But it is the only way that Florida State can really win this game against Alabama. The key matchup here, the Bama D versus Tommy Castellanos. Bama's defense has trouble with little rascally quarterbacks. So what Tommy C needs to do is channel his inner Diego Pavia. Because Diego Pavia beat this Alabama team last year. Now, granted, different players and all of that. But if he wants to befuddle the Tide defense, he has to do what Diego Pavia did. Create in the pocket, move around, make big plays with his legs, make them cheat up and get some of your athletic receivers, all of which are new, out there in space and make some plays and then open up some things in the running game. That's the way it's going to happen. Otherwise, that's all she wrote, and FSU is 0-1. Number 4, the LSU defense versus Cade Klubnik. How much has Blaine Baker been able to improve this defense year over year? I got my man Whit Weeks here. Garrett loves Whit Weeks. I love Whit Weeks. He is going to be a key here. I have a feeling he's going to be he and Harold Perkins are going to be spying on Cade Klubnik, keeping him in the well. He can have a very Aaron Rodgers-like effect on a game because he just kind of rolls out of the pocket and then creates that way. If they can keep Cade Klubnik in the well, LSU probably wins the game. Or if they can keep him in the well enough, we'll see. Number 3, and I put my little clicker down. Baylor secondary versus Auburn wide receivers. Baylor secondary was the most troublesome part of their defense last year. Dave Aranda, in an interview with Ross Dellinger this week, said that he has changed up a lot of things on defense. He's made some new wrinkles. The players are all a year older. They've got some new players in. But Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, those are big-time wide receivers who can bust even the best of coverages. So, can Baylor and their new looks on defense befuddle Jackson Arnold and keep these receivers in check? It's a big challenge for them week 1, but I do think if they rise to it, you'll see a lot of people start to notice the green and gold nationally a little bit more. Number 2, Miami's run defense versus Notre Dame. They brought in Corey Heatherton from Minnesota. He's their new defensive coordinator. Last year, run, pass, whatever it was, Miami couldn't stop it. They could not stop it. They were a wet paper bag on defense. What happens this year against, in the first game, one of the best offensive lines and running backs that they're going to see all year long, and a running game which is going to be built to help their young quarterback, C.J. Carr, who will be in his first start. So they're going to get a full dose of Jeremiah Love and his compadres, and that offensive line is tough. Can they, week one, make big strides and show that they truly are ready to return to the national scene? Number one, Matt Patricia versus the Texas offense. Congratulations on his massive weight loss and a nice little beard trim here. But this is his first time calling plays in college. And the first time he has to do that, albeit at Ohio State with a, abundance of talent, is as the defensive coordinator against a team that might have one of the best offenses in the country. In Arch Manning's first start, or not his first start, but the first start of the true Arch Manning era at Texas. That is a huge, huge, huge thing. And Texas, while they've lost some guys on offense, they're brought back a lot. They're going to have a very, very dynamic running game with C.J. Baxter and Quintravian Wisner. Jack Endress, the tight end, just will step right in for Gunnar Helm. Plus, they still have studs at wide receiver all over the place, like Ryan Wingo, who they'll have to contend with in his true sophomore season. So is Matt Patricia up to the challenge now? I don't know. I think if this team winds up 9-3 this year, it's because probably of Matt Patricia and the turnover they've had, particularly on that side of the ball. All four starters along the defensive front are gone. 2 linebackers, 2 defensive backs. Now, granted, in the back end, they still have the best player in America in Caleb Downs, but we'll see how they scheme him up against Texas. That's going to do it for this top 5. Andrew Valade delivered some polls, and it would be wrong of us to completely ignore them.
All right, here are the results from a couple of polls. I vote every day as much as I can to see if I was in the popular vote or not. What's your favorite Corso moment? I look for this one to be in the poll. The accidental blanket, the F-bomb, 58% overwhelmingly. Number 1, followed by the first headgear pick, which was Ohio State in 1996, which is, of course, where he is this weekend. And then calling ugly. And then, of course, the Oregon motorcycle ride in 2009. So no doubt the accidental F-bomb, which everybody reacted like, oh, my God, but he can do that and get away with it.
It was hilarious. We were at a Baylor game when he did it, and Herbie's face was priceless. Just like, okay,
yep,
what's going to happen?
Yep. So there we are. The other poll today from Andrew Valade, which true freshman will make the biggest impact? I didn't even have to blink on this one. The quarterback, of course, with 45%. Michigan's Bryce Underwood. DeCorian Moore is really good. Kid from Duncanville, wide receiver at Oregon. And then you have Davidson and Sanchez.
I wouldn't be surprised to see DeCorian Moore be their leading receiver, but I still think it's going to be Bryce Underwood.
Is going to be what?
The most impactful freshman.
Yeah, I'd say Bryce Underwood probably as well. DeCorian Moore, I'm very excited to see. Just glad that we've got games back. And after all this previewing and talking over the last few months, I mean, we get to actually see these guys. So I'm super excited. But, yeah, Bryce Underwood at Michigan is a pretty safe bet to take home biggest impact freshman, given the role he's going to have on a team of that caliber.
Especially a team that last year was terrible on offense, and how much of an impact he could have just from that perspective if he's able to be pretty good. He's a big dude now. Garrett Ross's favorite college quarterback, Bryce Underwood. No doubt. Brandon Rowe, thank you very much. A little bit better. It's kind of just not quite going to ever allow you. It can be like Jimmy Johnson to those Cowboys guys when he arrived in 89. Asthma my ass. That's the asthma field over there.
I had to Jimmy Johnson him earlier today. He deleted a lot of stuff that I did and didn't tell me about it. So, it was me today, not you. Yeah.
Young kids today, man, you can't trust them. They just don't listen to adults.
I mean, I mean, I didn't tell him not to not do that. He just, he was being proactive and forgot to step.
Garrett Ross with his Paul Skeens T-shirt and Pittsburgh Pirates hat, and Andrew Valade, of course, doing what he does. All of them incredible what they do to help us slam out the content. Thanks to our viewers and sponsors. For Paul and Craig, I'm David Smoak. Have a great night.